Hello guys, I got some hilarious news. I have, for some reason, I'm broadcasting this stream in a slightly higher resolution than apparently is good. So I'm gonna really quick, just really quick, the stream is gonna go down for like 1 second while I change it, and then I'm gonna be back, okay? So don't even worry about it, okay? Don't even worry. And we're back. That's better. That's better. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome back. I am back. Hello, everybody. This is all an optical illusion. I am not actually under the water. There's too much raining. Blah, blah, blah. This is just a convincing background, but it is here to try. It is here for an educational purpose. Okay, it is here to educate you all, educate the masses. Because I've got lots of fun stuff to talk to you guys about. Hello, I'm under the water. Please help me, there's too much raining. How is everybody? How are we doing? Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Kumaki, thank you very much for the super. I missed you too. Missed you guys so much. Sorry I've not been around. We got lots to talk about today. I'll tell you about what I've been doing, where I've been. Although I did post a little update on Twitter the other day. We can talk a little more about it today and we can catch up a little bit. First, I need some water. Good gracious. Goodness gracious me. Goodness gracious. Do. Nintendo Music normally has this like extension feature, but I can't find it today. I wonder where it has gotten off to. Where have you gone to? Ah, my dear little ocelot, where have you gone? Where have you gone? Buh, buh, buh. Buh, buh. Maybe they removed it. Buh, buh. I don't know. Audio a bit low? Ah, sorry. Cup, half empty. Thank you for the super. Still quite new. You're my first membership, so I think it's only fitting on my first super as well. Love you. Oh, I love you too. I'm very grateful to be your first membership and your first ever super. Hopefully I can be worth that investment and show you all kinds of good times in the months to come. Thank you. Very lively. Thank you for the super as well. It's a beautiful day now that you're here. Hey. It must have been a beautiful day already with you there. Hey. But yes. So, the other day, I went for a little taster session at, so I didn't actually go in the ocean. This is my first time ever using scuba equipment, and it was at a swimming pool. And I was educated and told how it all works and stuff, and it was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was literally just going to be like, hello mate, this is the regulator, this is how this works, this is this is that, and then that was going to be it, and I'd be like, cool. But instead, what happened was, they did do that and show me all the stuff and tell me about all the things. But then I got in the water and they started throwing little like plastic fishes around and were like, okay, now you have to go around and catch them. I was like, whoa. So it was very fun. Let me tell you about what this was like. Sorry, this thing is peeing me off. Anyway. So I first got in the water and I had like, it's crazy how many bits there are. You know, you've got this massive, bulky sort of vest on. The tank of air is so heavy. But then when you're in the water, you forget it's even there because nothing has any weight underwater and you're just floating. And then it came time, so I put the regulator, which is what I'm holding in my hand right now, this regulator, called so because what it does is it allows you to breathe normally underwater. It takes the heavily compressed air from the tank and then will release the pressure so that you can breathe perfectly normally. And so I placed it in my mouth and I stuck my head under the water. And the first time I did it, I felt this like rush of panic. Literally, I went underwater and I was like, in my head, I was like, ah, whoa, ah, ah. I don't know why. I think it's just a pure instinctual thing where the idea of trying to open your mouth and breathe in while you're fully submerged in water, I think instinctually your body is like, no, don't do that. And so I was like, well, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Oh my God. And it just felt really scary for a second. And I really struggled to like breathe in. I felt like my lung capacity wasn't cut out for it. And then I stood back up and they said, all right, let's go again. And the second time, I knelt all the way down. And then I was like, okay, just breathe normal. Oh, this is easy. And I just started breathing nice and slow, completely normally. And then I was like, wow, it's such a strange feeling because I think something I always really like about being underwater is how quiet it is. You know, I went under the water, and whenever I go under the water, your ears get full of water and then you can't hear anything really. You just hear like a little bit. And it was so calm and so nice. And I was like, wow, this is like a really, really cool thing. So something else you have to master when you're diving is something called the BCD, the Buoyancy Control Device. I believe that's what it stands for. Where you have another tube on your thing which can both fill and release air from your jacket. On your little vest, you've got pockets of air, and if you want to go up, you can fill it with air from your tank, and then you can release the air if you want to sink down. And that was and learning to master that was really interesting because after a while we were just swimming around and I had flippers on as well. I had flippers and I was flippering all over the place. And so you go right down to the bottom of the pool, and then I'm swimming along the bottom, and suddenly it's like I'm trying to pick up these little weights and these little toys that they've like put down to kind of test how good I am at stuff. And I'm swimming along, and then I'm sort of like reaching down. I can't quite catch it, and it feels weird. And I realize, wait, I need to release air. And so I grab the tube and I hold it up high, and then and I start sinking down. And I go, yeah, and then I can grab it. It's great. It's really, really great. But the weird thing is your ears when you're underwater, right? So because of the level of pressure, and this is not a terribly deep swimming pool. This is quite a sort of ordinary swimming pool. Like I could stand up in the deep end and still like poke my head out, that kind of thing. But even then, when you go right to the bottom, your ears feel the pressure from the water. And so what you have to do is hold your nose and then try to breathe through your nose outward so that your ears sort of go, psh. It's called equalizing. And you go like, you do it like that, right? And the thing is, that's always how I unpop my ears when I'm on a plane. So I was already quite familiar with that. And I remember thinking like, I don't know if I'm going to really need to use this while I'm just testing it out. But then suddenly I sank to the very bottom of the deep end and I felt my ears, they really hurt. I was like, shit. And when I did that, it was like a cracking sort of pain in there. And then suddenly underwater was really loud. It was a very strange feeling how like on the surface underwater is so quiet. And then the moment you do that, you can kind of hear the water really, really, really clearly. It's just, and I remember chatting with the instructor, and she was saying like, it's a bit of a silly sport really, because we're not really supposed to be down there. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. None of us were ever really supposed to go too deep in the ocean, but we've just stubbornly invented all of these different tools to let us do it purely because we're interested and we want to do it. So yeah, I didn't feel dizzy, and I think that I I felt more than comfortable with the swimming. I think I've always been a good swimmer, so I didn't really struggle with that. You know, the weight from the scuba tank and all of the weights on you to help you sink, they didn't really slow me down, so it was great. I just sort of was swimming around. They put little like hoops in the water that I was swimming through. Was my mask fogging up? No, it was not, and I'll tell you why. It's because they gave me a lot. So they said, okay, normally there's like a little spray that they put in it, and they said, we've forgotten it. So what you can do is spit in the inside of your mask and then rub it around and wash it out. So I hock-toured the goggles on the inside of my mask and then just rubbed that around a little bit and then, you know, put that in the water, washed it off, and then, yeah, I didn't experience any fogging up of the thing. So you can now, for the low price of 75,000 British pounds, you can buy the Vox Akuma spit mask at any time. If that's something that you might be interested in, I feel like maybe that might be a little something of interest to many of you. I'll take 8. Yes. Brilliant. I'm going to start a new business now. Got to be one of those YouTubers that starts 1,000 different companies, but all of them are selling one item that I have soiled in some way. Yeah, I mean, normally people have a special spray for it, but you can use your spit if you like. So it's very silly. And after it was done, the organizers said, usually after a session we go to the pub. Do you want to come with? And I was like, of course I'm going to come to the pub. And there I met some more people who were like from the group. And one of them, everyone was really friendly, but one of them was this elderly gentleman, 75 years old, I think. And I felt like, when I spoke to him, I literally felt like I was looking in an old mirror, because we sort of shake hands, and he's like, "You all right?" And I said, "Yeah, you know, I'm new around here." And he said, "Very good," and just sort of didn't really say anything. And then I overhear him talking to these two other guys, and he's talking about sperm whales and talking about sperm whale hunting squid, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm among my people now. And then I just turned over and I said, did you know that sperm whales can speak Chinese? And he was like, what? And then we had this whole conversation, and it was great. Chatted with all these people. They showed me videos of them swimming with gray seals and all of that, and they even gave me a certificate. And it said, this is to congratulate Victor Abbott on his magnificent diving qualification. I'm like, I was just in the pool for like an hour. It wasn't really that impressive. But yeah, so I'm gonna be really interested in seeing what comes next. Hopefully I can join this group and do some dives and things, get some more qualifications, and who knows. I promise you guys that when I actually get a chance to dive in the ocean with fish and animals, and hopefully some seals as well, when I do, I will get a GoPro, and I'm gonna record it and show you guys in a sort of unofficial sequel to the Kayukan vlog. I'm really excited to get to do that. Hopefully, if I get an encounter with a seal, hopefully the seal comes up and gives the camera a little kiss, but you can't like count on these things happening. The encounters are always on the animal's terms, that's what they say. Wallflower, thank you so much for the super. Breaking the cycle of holding your breath can be scary. Yeah, it's so cool that you're experiencing phenomena such as breathing underwater. Imagine encountering a seal in the open water. I would be so happy. And that is a scary thing, because while you're underwater, you can't hold your breath. Now, there's a little bit of a misconception here, which I was surprised by. So, if you're staying where you are, like if you're still underwater, even if you're at great depth, it's actually not dangerous to hold your breath, like if you're staying where you are. The thing that gets you is if you're holding your breath and ascending or descending. While you're doing that, air in your lungs while there's a pressure change, that can make your lungs explode, basically, if you do that. So what they say is, don't ever hold your breath while you're diving, just to be safe. Like, no matter what you're doing, no matter what happens, never ever hold your breath. Just breathe normally and you'll be completely fine. But if you breathe in and hold it, and then you start changing elevation, it can cause your lungs to explode, and then you die. So So yeah, that's not something I plan on doing. You've got this little, like, I had a massive pressure gauge. It was like 3 dials that had the pressure gauge on there and had like a depthometer and all of this different stuff. And I was like, I don't know what any of this means. And I'm fiddling with all of this stuff. And then when I first got down, what they do is you kind of put your hands together in front of your face. Almost like a, you know, if you make like the praying motion, but then you bring your hands apart and put them together, sort of fold them across each other, you kind of get this, like, you know, flat hand thing. And that's how you swim. Because I tried swimming normally, like breaststroke, just sort of, you know, swimming with my arms, and my arms just kept smacking all the equipment, and I realized, okay, that's not going to work. So you forward propulsion is all with the flippers, and then you just kind of gently steer with your arms. So it was a very, very, very surreal, brilliant experience, and I would recommend it to anybody. I think it's, you know, it's strange how it feels like something everybody knows about, but so few people have gone out of their way to do, you know. But I'm very excited. I'm very excited to do more of it. What if I'm scared of the depth and the silence? Life is all about facing your fears, isn't it? Every single thing that you do in life is all about facing your fears. And the thing that you've got to remember is that the ocean is far less dangerous than you might think. The thing about marine life that has made me so fascinated is the fact that so few marine animals wish to do you harm. A lot of them will have defense mechanisms. A lot of them may attack you if you corner them or threaten them or something like that. But the fact is, a lot of land animals, in fact most land animals, have evolved a natural fear of human beings, whereas ocean animals are nowhere near as exposed to human beings in order to evolve that fear. So most of them don't really know what you are, and they're just going to kind of ignore you a lot of the time, or they might even get curious and come and check you out. The main thing to do is that if you're scared of the ocean, remember that you don't have to go that deep. Most sort of group scuba activities for beginners are only going to take you like a maximum of 20 meters down, which in the grand scheme of things is not that deep. And when you're down there, you're probably just going to see a few fish. No one can dive deeper than, you know, when you're talking about the bottom of the ocean, you will never dive to the bottom of the ocean because you would implode. But there are safe depths that lots and lots of people dive to, regardless of, you know, any sort of physical limitation. And I think it's well worth doing. That's another thing is just make sure that you don't like carelessly stomp on the ocean floor, because there are a lot of animals that hide in the sand or in the, you know, the rubble on the bottom of the sea. And the worst thing to do is step on them, because a lot of them will have automatic kind of defenses where they stab you a little bit. The one that scares me the most is the stonefish. Oh, stonefish. Hold on. So the stonefish is interesting to me because it is so well defended that it is completely free of any fear whatsoever. There are videos of people picking this fish up, and you know how if you try and handle a fish, it will like wriggle around and slip out of your hands and try to get back into the water. The stonefish doesn't give a shit. The stonefish doesn't care at all, doesn't care one little bit. It's this fat little fish that has this really rough textured skin that makes it look like a rocky little stone. And you pick it up, the stonefish is like, whatever, I don't care. Because the thing about the stonefish is that on its back, it has a row of spines, and these spines are so venomous that people have peeled back the skin to see what the actual spike looks like underneath. It's pure, like, glowing blue, filled with venom. And people have, women who have stepped on them describe the pain as being worse than childbirth. Other people describe the pain of stonefish venom like being repeatedly hit with a sledgehammer. But the thing is, because they have those spines, they're not aggressive animals. They don't need to be. They don't care because nothing is ever going to fuck with them, and so they just sit there. And that's why if you're in the water, just be really careful about where you're stepping. What people try to practice is the stingray shuffle. So if you get towards the ocean, you kind of plant your feet in the ground, and then instead of taking big steps, you just shuffle your feet through the water. That way, you'll never step on any dangerous animals. And instead, you'll just kind of disturb the sand near them, and they'll probably just get up and swim away. Because at the end of the day, they're not aggressive. They're not hunting you. That's the really important thing to keep in mind. Just because an animal has a defensive mechanism doesn't mean that it wants to hunt or eat you. In fact, so few animals hunt human beings. Literally, there are almost none. Polar bears will hunt human beings, and I don't know, I think that's it. Like, grizzlies, if they're extremely hungry, like, so few. Leopards, tigers, crocodiles, and polar bears. Pretty much it. That's like pretty much it. The only animal. Yes, you should worry about crocodiles, worry about tigers, leopards, and polar bears. Otherwise, those animals are likely either afraid of you or you're not a part of their natural diet and they just have no interest in you whatsoever. I mean, polar bears, they hunt humans because food for them is so few and far between that they're going to hunt anything they can find. You know, they smell you and you're a large-ish mammal. They're like, well, there's got to be some meat on that. And then they come after you. But other than that, do you want to know something I found out? I can't believe that I've been into primates and gorillas and monkeys for as long as I have been. I never knew this. I want you guys to, without Googling it, take a guess. How many people in history of all time, how many people in all time have been killed by gorillas? How many? Just guess. How many? You're all wrong. 0. 0. Literally, in recorded history, we have no recorded examples of a gorilla ever killing a person. It has never happened that we know of. It's likely that a long time ago, there may have been some unrecorded things where people didn't know what gorillas were, before we were recording such statistics. But in the history that we have, where we were, researching gorillas for the first time, ever since, for hundreds of years, gorillas have never killed anyone. And in fact, there are even very limited, I'm pretty sure it's also that the fact that there's like almost no examples of gorillas injuring a human being either. They are, even though they just look like these massive brutish animals that, have all of this strength and could completely pulverize you, they're herbivores. They're quite peaceful. They really don't want a fight, like ever. Male gorillas, what they'll do is a mock charge where they kind of beat their chest and they kind of run at you a little bit, but they will pretty much always just stop right in front of you. And it's just a way of them asserting their dominance, saying, I'm the man of the house around here. And as long as you make yourself look small and you avert your gaze, they realize, you respect me, you're not a threat to me, I don't care. And they go back to eating their leaves. Upwood, thank you for the super. Did you make friends in the ocean? I did not go in the ocean, I was in a swimming pool. But I made friends in the swimming pool. The people who took the session were very, very nice. And yes, I did learn the hand language as well. I did learn the hand language. It's very interesting. You did a little okay sign to say A-OK. And then you kind of wiggle your hand around to say, there's a problem. Or if you want to show someone something, you point at your face and you point at them and you say, you, point your eyes, watch, and then you point yourself, me, you watch me. And then use your thumb to point up or down. If you're ascending, you point up with your thumb. And if you're going down, you point down with your thumb. Bull sharks, yes. Bull shark. See, the thing about a bull shark, again, sharks, there are no sharks that will hunt and eat you. It doesn't happen. Sharks bite and sometimes wind up killing people because they are investigating you and they're interested. A shark might swim at you and they might bite you because their mouth is the only thing they have that allows them to investigate and play with the world. You've got your hands. The shark doesn't. The shark just has its mouth. It's just unfortunate that the shark's mouth is incredibly dangerous. Shark bites will pretty much always result in the shark biting and then leaving. Unfortunately, they're so dangerous with that bite that a lot of the time, or part of the time, any shark bite can wind up being fatal, but they don't hunt to eat you. It just doesn't happen. So bull sharks have quite a high level of attacks on humans because bull sharks are one of the only sharks that can survive in freshwater. What that means is, in rare occasions, you can find a bull shark in shallower water or in a river or in a canal or something like that. And so in murkier, sort of more human water where there's a lot more murk and muck and stuff, and where it's shallower, you're a lot more likely to randomly run into a shark, and where that shark can't see you very well, they're more likely to bite you. Same thing as tiger sharks. Tiger sharks are only in salt water, but they only... they're just more likely to investigate you with a bite because they've been known to eat anything. They eat plastic, they eat license plates, they eat Nintendo controllers. Tiger sharks eat anything, and so chances are, if they're sort of curious, they might have a go at eating you, but it's still unlikely. It's still unlikely that they would actually fully eat a human being. It's very, very rare for any animal to want to actually hunt and eat you. And this is why I don't think it's worth being afraid of nature. Really, the biggest thing is relying on research. You've got to know which animals are the most dangerous, and you've really got to know. And all you have to do after that is to have respect. Just have respect and keep your space. You got to keep your space. Between you and the animals. You mustn't approach them, allow them to approach you, and that's how you have a good experience, because the only time that you would wind up getting attacked by an animal is if you cornered them, made them feel threatened, got between them and their young, or if you're around, a male during breeding season, they might see you as a threat and then they might attack you. I mean, that's a lot more common. The real ones you got to watch out for are fucking hippopotamuses. Hippos will fuck you sideways. So remember, just because they're not hunting you to eat you doesn't mean that a hippo is friendly. Hippos kill, I think, anywhere between 500 to 3,000 people a year in Africa because you're just on a boat and you don't realize that a hippo mother is on one side of the river and a hippo calf is on another side of the river, and that hippo is going to come straight to you and is going to kill you if you get, that's just what they do. Herbivores evolve to basically get used to, they have to figure out some survival mechanism, because if they're not meant to kill to eat, what do they kill for? Herbivores can either be difficult to spot, they can be unappetizing, or a number of different things, but the thing that hippos have is that they are just so aggressive that it's not worth them really being hunted by anything. I wonder. Lovecake, thank you very much for the super. Saw a horror film about sharks in cornfields that bite whoever approaches. Sharks in cornfields. Well, that sounds great. Yeah, I believe it. I saw apparently there's a fan-made concept for adding Jaws to Dead by Daylight. And so it's just Dead by Daylight, but with a great white shark floating around, which is hilarious. And I want, if they added that, I would love to play that. Thank you so much for the corgi. Ow, ow. Nintendo, do you have any other underwater themed music, I wonder? It would never make sense, but that's what's funny. I just love the photoshops of sharks floating through the air, That's dangerous, Your chances of being attacked by a floating shark are low, and they're never zero. I'm amazed personally by the people who like will very often go, oh, Animal Crossing, yeah. That's nice. Oh, yeah, Donkey Kong. I mean, this is nice. We'll play that later. Aquatic ambience. Oh. Oh, it's beautiful. But yes, what was I going to say? I'm fascinated by the people who swim with sharks and know just the right way of avoiding an attack. From what I know, the only 3 shark species you need to really worry about, like there are some that can attack you, but the ones with the most statistical attacks on record are great whites, obviously, bull sharks, and tiger sharks. But even then, there are lots and lots of videos of people face-to-face with these sharks and they just leave them well enough alone. What I've heard the right thing to do is to stay still, keep them in your line of sight, and if they approach you, try and gently guide them away from you with a hand. Just place your hand on their nose, because their noses are very sensitive. So if you place a hand on their nose and sort of gently guide them away, they're very unlikely. They'll kind of recognize like, oh, this thing kind of knows what it's doing. All right, I'm gonna. Now this is never a, you know, I'm not a wildlife expert. This is not 100% do this and you'll never be in danger around a shark. If you see a great white, usually it's not a good idea to be around one in the water. But the worst thing you can do is run away. If you start swimming rapidly in the other direction, that shark is more likely to come and get you, because you trigger its instinct. It sees you as prey. If you start running away, it sees you as prey and thinks, well, that's probably going to be kind of good to eat, actually. And you, I don't care how good of a swimmer you are, you will never outswim any animal that was, you know, meant to be in the ocean. No, you cannot outswim any aquatic animal apart from a sunfish. Sunfish are really slow, so you might be all right there. But sharks, no, they will always catch up to you. So if you just stay still, keep your eyes on them, and know what to do, then most likely you will be fine. But of course, don't take, you know, this is not serious advice. This is just me with an interest. Yeah, so it's been a good time. It's very exciting. It's very, very exciting. I really want to have experiences with these animals because I think it's going to be very, very cool. I did see the video of orcas exploding a sunfish. So you guys know the sunfish? It's a big, flat, round fish, very slow, bit dopey, kind of silly. Video of orcas. One orca is holding it still. Another orca swims at it at an incredible speed and hits it so hard that it explodes. It explodes, guys. The sunfish explodes. And they don't know if they're doing this to make the chunks of it small enough for the calves to eat, or if they were just doing it for a laugh. My theory is that it's for a laugh, because apparently sunfish is not very tasty. Yeah, and you can hear the person filming the video of this, you can hear them go, "Oh my god! Oh! Oh my god! Oh my god!" Like they can't believe what they've seen. It's really, really, really fascinating stuff. Poor sunfish. That's nature. You have to be prepared to see that. If you want to spend time in the wild, you have to be prepared to see some pretty grisly stuff. Saw a great video recently of also, by the way, thank you so much, something Yuya, I can't read your whole name, but thank you for the corgi. Thank you for the laughing disco. Laughing disco! I was watching a video of this guy who took his family on a really, really luxurious safari trip in Africa. And it looked amazing. If I could afford it, I would absolutely love to do a safari at some point and to see some elephants, and because I love elephants and seeing all those animals would just be brilliant. But something else is that while they were out on safari, they drive past a a lioness that is eating a wildebeest carcass, and it's just full, you know, blood, guts, gore all over the place, because that's nature. You can't go for an experience like that and expect not to see nature in its full glory, really. That's what predators are doing, and predators are doing an important job. If predators didn't exist, then prey animals would quickly become, there would be too many of them, and then prey animals would start, you know, whether they would start extincting whatever they're feeding on, and, you know, there's an order and a balance to all of these things. So many gifts, you guys. Thanks for the finger heart. Mwah. Thanks very much for the fortune cookie. Wow. It says that I am in the ocean. It's wrong. Thanks for the husky. Bing. Going straight in my piggy bank. Now, what was I going to say? Yes. Changing the subject slightly. I wanted to say that I am sorry for not streaming. I said after the Metro Chameleon stream, yeah, guys, we'll stream this week. But it's been a nightmare, I'm going to tell you. So, just to update you on what I've been up to, for those of you who do not know, I have been working on a video that I think is really, really, really good. I have a great script. I have an excellent script. I love the script I've done for this thing. And it's a video that I hope falls into the kind of Swampletics category for video about a game that people who've never played it before can understand and enjoy still. And I've also been learning so much science, right? I've needed to do so much research. Like I said, I contacted a friend of mine who has like a physics degree. We've been talking about all kinds of things. I'm talking time dilation. I'm talking like, you know, Einstein's theory of general relativity. I'm talking about black holes. I'm talking about wormholes. I'm talking about all of this stuff. I've learned so much about physics and about space and about, really most of it is about numbers. Most of it is about how ridiculous numbers get and how big exponents are. The moment you start, you know, doing a times 10 to the power of something, the more you add to that, the more unbelievably huge, you know, the number gets. You might think that 1.2 times 10 to the power of 15 is only a little bit higher than 1.2 times 10 to the power of 14, but no, it's like an entire order of magnitude is so much to the point where you can't really process it. So anyway, really love this script that I've done, and I've been working on editing it for some time. And basically, because I liked it so much, I've thought it's like now's the time for me to jump the shark, Lamau, and really up the production quality with some new tech. So I have got some new technology for streaming and for making videos that is really exciting, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be very keen on seeing. And I've, you know, but the thing is, I'm trying really, really hard to make it good, but it's just not really there. I tweeted about how I'd been wrestling with technology all day, and my God, it's like the amount of... I got this stuff all set up, but there's just some bits of it that aren't quite right. You know, some bits of it that just aren't really there. And I'm trying to like fiddle with it and trying to find a way to make it justify the purchase and trying to make it, you know, deserving of the kind of the bar of quality I really want to set. But it's been hard. It's been really, really hard. I'm getting close, but I kind of, you know, I intended to have all of that stuff done right at the beginning of this week, and it just kind of kept taking days and days and days out of the week that I could have been able to spend on the actual time-consuming part, which is the editing with the diagrams and all of the demonstrations I wanted to do. So it's been a challenge, and for that reason, I've not been able to stream as much as I would have really wanted, and I'm sad about that because. You know, I had ideas for streaming, but basically what's happening is I think this week I'm gonna have to wind up doing a different video. I I have actually a really nice idea for a video that I'm going to be able to put together in not as much time. And I'm going to focus on that for now, and then hopefully I can get all of that new technology figured out well enough on time to upload the really cool one on time in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, no, it's pretty disappointing because I've been really, really excited to share that with you all. And I hope that, you know, I know you guys miss me a lot. It's been a shame to not be able to stream as much these past couple of months with all the interruptions, but hopefully I can get into a good flow with things, and then we can start doing some really fun stuff together soon. Wallflower, thank you very much. It's hard to implement it to socializing, keep composure, understanding where the other is coming from, knowing why they're aggressive. Yeah, that's exactly right. Animals will so very, very rarely attack you for no reason. It's essentially unheard of for a lot of animals to attack you completely unprovoked. You can extend the definition of what provoking an animal means. Like for a hippo, you've provoked a mother hippo by getting anywhere near their child. Like that's a provocation. Or a male, you know, during breeding season, a lot of mammals might attack you because they just view you as a threat. Would you call that a provocation? It depends. But just generally, give them space and remember that wild predators don't want to attack for no reason. That's a really important thing to remember. Wild predators will essentially never attack something that they think they can't fully kill because, I mean, a predator in the wild doesn't have medical care. If they get injured, that inhibits their ability to hunt, and if they can't hunt, they will starve. So they're very, very selective about what they actually go for. Pellet Ghost, thank you for the super. You got to try M&S bourbon creams. Oh, bourbon creams for the first time recently made me think of you. There's nothing like them in the US. These are ridiculously good. I love a bourbon cream. I love a bourbon cream. They're so, so good. And from M&S as well. Very fancy. Very bougie is M&S. That's a proper middle class supermarket. Me babe, thank you for the Aku Super. Mwah. Really love hearing to talk. I'm glad you like to listen to me talk. I could talk all day about this stuff. I want to talk to you all the time. Yes, and conserving energy as well. Now, crocodiles are very aggressive, but crocodiles will be very still a lot of the time, which is why it's very difficult to sort of gauge a crocodile's intentions, because they stay still to conserve energy quite a lot, you know, quite a lot. It's also interesting, alligators, a lot less dangerous than crocodiles, which is fascinating, isn't it? Alligators are nowhere near as aggressive. They do attack people, but only if they're extremely hungry or if they're provoked. And sometimes if you're like, you know, on a boat, you know, and you smack into one, you might provoke it or whatever. Alligators are much, much more chill. Some people even have pet alligators. Whereas crocodiles, oh my god, they're ruthless. Crocodiles. Let me describe this to you, okay? A crocodile. You might be fishing by the side of a river, right? And you might see a crocodile. And that crocodile might sit there and not do anything to you. And you might think, oh, that's a friendly crocodile. I don't know, what's that about? You might even mistake it for an alligator. What you don't know is that crocodile remembers that that's a spot. And so it might have spotted you while it was already digesting. Maybe it was tired, but it just made a mental note that you were there. If you go back to that same fishing spot the next day, there is a significant likelihood that that crocodile will come out and eat you because they planned ahead. They remembered, all right, well, this human is here. You know, I was a little tired yesterday, but ooh, I wonder if they're still there today. And so they will wait there, and they will just leap out, pull you into the water. Do not underestimate crocodiles. It's the fact that obviously people are reasonably scared of crocs, but they're so much more dangerous than sharks. It's not even like there's no debate. There is no debate whatsoever. Sharks are nowhere near as dangerous. Yeah, no, there's a lot more that you could be afraid of. The fact is, there are no ocean animals that actively hunt humans to eat them. None of them. Absolutely zero. Deaths to ocean animals occur due to provocation or, mistaken identity. The only time that an orca bit a human being that we know of, it's only ever happened once in the wild. Just a bite, and they survived. It was just a bite. What happened was, this guy was surfing in the middle of a bunch of sea lions, which is just asking for trouble. There was a pod of orcas nearby, and they were hunting this group of sea lions, and there was a human in the middle of these sea lions surfing. And one of the orcas jumps out of the water, bites this guy. The moment it realizes it's a human, instantly lets it go and swims away. That is the only time that an orca has ever harmed a human being in the wild in any way. And yeah, it was a devastating bite, needed many, many stitches, but they lived. Meanwhile, 4 human beings have been killed by orcas in captivity. That's the difference, really. The difference is that they were stressed. Naku, thank you for 5 gifted. Thank you so much. 5 more gifted, 5 more members coming on in. Mayo, thank you for 54 months. Thank you so much. Tori, thank you for the trophy cake. Delicious. And Milo, thank you very much for the super. I missed you too. If you like corks, I'll bet you like them. You should definitely come to Australia. Got my tongue pierced 2 days ago. That's cute. Oh, I bet it looks really, really nice on you. Better come to Australia. I do want to go to Australia. I want to go to Australia so I can see the Great Barrier Reef. I want to go and see all the life around the Great Barrier Reef. That sounds like a really, really good time. Orcas Killing Humans was a famous documentary. No, I'm pretty sure you're talking about the film Orca, and I believe that film is sensationalist and completely untrue. Orcas have been known to ram boats, but they have never harmed anyone in the wild. It has never ever happened. I believe that film Orca, it has terrible reviews. Now there was Blackfish, which talked about Blackfish was about Tilikum, who was the orca who killed 3 humans in captivity, but that's the important part. Tilikum was a deeply, deeply traumatized orca who lived in very substandard conditions, was really not taken good care of. No, I watched Blackfish. It was really, really heartbreaking. I cried a lot watching Blackfish. Tilikum was not taken good care of, separated from his pod at a very young age, sold to SeaWorld, all of that kind of stuff, forced to perform. And remember, yes, Tilikum killed 3 people, but also each of those incidents were about a decade apart. That's the thing that's really strange to reckon with, is the fact that Tilikum killed people in captivity, and a lot of those deaths were very harrowing, really, really scary stuff. But they still, for some reason, kept performing with him. That's kind of the problem, is they kept doing that, Ichiko, thank you very much for the 5 gifted. Thank you so much. More members to the pile. Maido, there's actually oil drilling approved by our government around the Great Barrier Reef. Now that's really sad. That is really, really sad. I look forward to a future where we can rely on clean energy, because it just drives me up the wall. It drives me up the wall that 70% of climate change is caused by oil and gas energy, or coal rather. Oil, coal, gas energy it pollutes so heavily. And that's 70%. Meanwhile, governments want to go on about how important it is. There are people in Europe, or in the UK, I believe I read a story about someone in the UK who installed an air conditioner and was approached by the local council and told to take it down because they didn't have a reason to have it. There was no justification for having it other than, like, putting ice in front of a fan. And it's like, what? Why are government officials spending time harming one citizen who might have really needed that air conditioner for health reasons? Like, air conditioning is just part of life. It's just something that we've evolved to the point where human beings need it, right? And air conditioning does contribute to global warming, but a fraction of the percent that greenhouse gases do. They produce greenhouse gases. What am I trying to say? Fossil fuels. That's it. Fossil fuels. And so that's why I'm very keen and excited to hear about a lot of research being done about fusion reaction. It's very exciting to hear about fusion reaction being sort of, the older or the newer sort of iteration of something like nuclear power, but that is infinitely safer and cleaner. Unlikely to be sort of commercially available for a few decades, but I do believe that by that point, that seems like kind of the answer to the energy crisis just sort of solved, Koopa, thank you for the super. Code Geass solved this problem, and they had the whole world 90% powered by solar by the year 2017. Well, I believe solar is largely... I don't believe it's fully efficient, really, and the cost of running it is, I believe, very, very high compared to... Because the problem with solar power is that it is very expensive to run because the maintenance for giant solar farms is the hard part. You're talking about miles and miles and miles of equipment, whereas so much less space can be taken up by, a more efficient energy generation system, such as, ideally fusion reaction in the future. That's what I'm sort of looking forward to. I love this one YouTuber, T-False Nuclear, this guy who's like a nuclear engineer and does little reaction videos to shorts and stuff, and you can tell he means business. You can tell this guy knows what he's talking about. And I love learning about, stuff about... And the fact that, nuclear energy has a reasonably bad reputation because of the horrific things that have happened because of nuclear power. But it's not really because of nuclear power, it's because of human error. It's because of, falsifiable safety systems. And when you have safety systems that really, really work, and when you have people be held properly accountable and everyone involved is properly trained, then from what I've seen, it seems to be a perfectly safe, very clean energy source. But politically, it is viewed very negatively, and that's, a real shame. Cap, thank you very much for the super. Happy to celebrate 3 years with you. Shall I cook something special? Ooh. I'm looking forward to seeing your art. I think you should. Take me, Pape. I think you should go treat yourself to a lovely dinner out and take Pape with you. Susie, thanks for the finger heart. Mwah, I love you. Nuclear power and sharks seem to have a lot in common. Now that's cool, though. Imagine a nuclear shark. There's gonna come a day when a shark becomes nuclear somehow, and I'm gonna, be holding my head like Oppenheimer in the movie. I'm gonna be like, oh, what have I done? Yeah. I've been thinking I should play... I wonder if we have perms for it. I want to play that man-eater game where you play as a shark. I think that'd be really funny. We do have perms. Yeah. Okay. I'd like to play Man-Eater. That seems fun. Yana, thank you very much for the gifting. Thank you. I don't know how that happened. And that's the beauty of conversation. You can be talking about anything in the world and you can start talking about anything else. I could see electric cars being a thing. All this AI stuff is ruining animal life and sea life. Well... Kind of. My understanding about the impact of AI on the environment is less so on the oceans and much more so on local communities. You see, the thing about AI water usage is that it's all to do with two things. It's to do with the fact that the amount of energy produced, needed to run these data centers is extremely high, and that a lot of energy sources relies on cooking water and, using up water, but also cooling the computing systems that's being used to run the data centers. That requires cooling, and water is used for that as well. So the real problem is not, the actual sort of global impact of AI on the environment is not that great. The real impact is on local communities, because these data centers are being built close to, are being built in places that these companies view as small, insignificant, kind of unpopulated areas, but it's because they're lived in by farmers and, working class people who now are subjected to, dangerous levels of industrial noise by these data centers. So yeah, it's a really, really tragic thing that it's come to that, and that these people are being displaced by such rapid expansion. But it is good to know. There are a couple things, because I did do some reading about it recently. Is that, from what I know, there are sort of efforts being done to make these data centers more environmentally friendly. There's something called a closed loop cooling system, where once some water is in the system, they don't need to replace it anymore. So it takes up a certain amount of water that then they don't need any more water. That would be a good step. But ultimately, I feel that these data centers need to be, far enough away from people that it, doesn't kind of change anybody's way of life. Coco, thank you for the super. Of course you can have a kiss. Magna, thank you for the super. I'm currently dog sitting for a family with a pool I can use. I'm going to go swimming today. For the first time in 2 years. I'm gonna pretend to scuba dive. You should. It's fun. I mean, I feel like when I was in, even though I had older kit, when I was in the pool, I felt like I was pretend scuba diving, but it was still fun. Bayou, thank you very much. Your streams helped me through one of the darkest times of my life. That's really, really good to know, and I hope that that dark time is well and truly behind you. But if anything bad happens, I'll be there. I'll be there to help you through that too. How about no AI data centers? I mean, the thing is that data centers have existed for many, many, many years. They've been around for a long, long, long time. I mean, we've been, if you used Google, Google has had data centers this whole time. Where do you think all of those images are stored? YouTube, where do you think they store hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of terabytes of videos? There are many terabytes of videos uploaded to YouTube every day. Data centers have existed for a very, very long time. There are many more of them being built because of the computing demands of AI, but they have always existed. There are just a lot more of them and much bigger data centers because of AI. Yeah, the rapid expansion is very concerning. But this kind of thing happens, with a lot of new technology, and it has happened, in history that we've sort of seen this happen, and it's rarely good. It's very, very rarely good to see, when people get this idea that there's a bit of a gold rush, there's always something going on. There's always something you need to sort of say, oh, we got to be the first ones to it, and there's a bit of from what I know, there's a bit of an arms race in the AI world, and these different companies are trying to kind of have the best version of it out first, and it just results in more and more resources being spent. They're putting out new versions of it every day, and then they're releasing one that is so powerful that it has the ability to hack into the Pentagon if you ask it nice, and then there's just a bunch of shit going on, and it's clear that it is expanding way, way too fast. But from a business standpoint, I'm not surprised that companies are investing God knows how much fucking money in making that technology work, because from a business standpoint, it makes sense. It just reduces costs across the board. It's a shame, I think, that so much of the advertising and so much of the image around AI is so cruel. I think that is a really conscious choice, almost to kind of make people give up in a way. Like the ads that are, fundamentally disconnected from the world and reality. The ads that are saying, tired of people taking vacation, hire an AI agent to do your job, to do that job instead. It's clearly in such bad faith, in such incredibly bad faith, really designed either to profit off of people's fear or just because they don't know any better, only showing an ad that they believe only CEOs will see. But I guess if normal people see that ad, they don't care. It doesn't matter to them, you know? I mean, I really, really, truly believe that AI cannot replace human ingenuity. I think that that's the thing that we have to bear in mind, is that it will... I mean, I feel bad for kind of talking about this kind of thing, because I think that the more popular and, you know, nicer feeling view on it is to sort of say it's, you know, the technology's useless, it's a bubble, it's gonna pop, but it's kind of hitting a point where I don't think it will. Recently, I was hanging out with another friend of mine and this guy, for his job that he has had for many, many years, one day his job said, all right, we're going to start using AI now. And this is a guy with a family. He doesn't have the privilege of standing up and saying, well, then I quit, because he has children to feed. And so that's just become part of his life. And I don't resent him for that. That's just how these things go. And one day, you know, I'm just sort of, he says to me, you know, with his laptop, he says, I've got some, look at this I made, right? I've got some clips for you here. He asked me, can you tell me which of these clips are AI and which of them are not? And I was like, okay, that one kind of looks like, AI. I don't think that's AI. That one kind of does. And he said, you're wrong on all counts. He said, that one that you thought was AI was real. That one that you thought was real was AI, and it was that across the entire way, right? And I realized, I was like, damn. A lot of you, I'm sure, might have been thinking recently, and maybe feeling like, you know, you weren't as worried about AI anymore because you hadn't seen so much of it. The reality is, you have been seeing it. You just aren't noticing anymore because it's gotten good enough to be completely indistinguishable from reality. The videos people are making with AI now are so realistic that we can't rely on the fingers thing. We can't rely on, you know, the classic old tricks that we had. And most of the time, I think, you know, when there's a bit of drama on Twitter over an artist supposedly using AI, you're going to start looking for smaller and smaller clues to the point where you're going to wind up accusing someone who didn't use AI most of the time anyway, you know? And the thing that I sort of think about it is that I still, in spite of that, I really don't think that AI has the power to take away human ingenuity. You know, clear thought and all of that, I think, will always be protected. Because I just don't, no matter how intelligent these machines become, I do not think that it can ever replicate the genuine emotional reasoning of a human being. I don't think that that is fundamentally possible, you know? At least that's, you know, what I want to believe. But it's sad to kind of think about, you know, a world where, I guess, I don't know. I think seeing that and seeing how it was like so impossible for me to tell the difference between what was or wasn't AI footage is that I just started trying to kind of justify it in my mind, you know? I started thinking about, you know, the song Video Killed the Radio Star. I think, well, there was a time a long time ago when hundreds, you know, thousands of people had jobs in radio, but television replaced those jobs. There are a few small niche jobs in local radio stations and so on, but video then came along and replaced that. Maybe this is normal, but I don't like that train of thought. It just it feels like I'm just kind of, you know, doom posting at the end of the day. You know, I'm doom posting about it and just kind of losing faith, which is a shame because I love to have like a really positive outlook. I prefer, and we've raised a lot of money for charity when it comes to supporting people who have been hurt by AI. Maybe I've just not been feeling great about things in general, and it's been something that's been, kind of drilled into me a little bit. But also, I think now more than ever, it's important that we learn how to be more tolerant of each other and more forgiving of each other, and to be more patient with each other. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of a time recently where I got, I made a statement, on Twitter basically saying, please do not attack anyone in this community, even if you think they're in the wrong. And that all came from someone who pressed a button underneath one of my VODs, which just created an AI summary of the video. And this is a person who is still very much learning English, and it produced a Japanese summary, which I do not know how accurate it was. But the fact is, I think you should continue to be opinionated about these things. And I think that you should continue to hold fast in your beliefs. But I also think that you should be aware that this technology is everywhere. And if we start ripping to shreds every single person who accidentally presses a button that, turns one of these things on, we're at risk not only of spreading ourselves so thin that we don't have, anyone to fight with anymore, but also, the worst thing is that we run the risk of becoming massively hypocritical. The only social media that I use is Twitter, because that's the one, that everybody in NIJI uses, and that's the one I'm required to use, and that's fine. If you use Twitter, you're using AI. If you see a tweet in a different language, Twitter runs an AI prompt to translate it. That is automatic. I don't know if there's an option to turn that off. Sometimes you have to click show translation, but Grok does it now. If you use Twitter and you scroll for a while, you are running, a great amount of prompts. And then you have to wonder, how dangerous is stuff like translation, right? Because then you think, oh, we'll use a different AI tool. Use a different tool that doesn't use AI or whatever to translate. They all do. Google Translate now is built based on AI. DeepL uses AI. There are no reliable translation tools online apart from, asking somebody to translate it for you. And if anything, and that's asking people who want to connect with other languages to hire a translator every time. Then we almost stray into a class debate. Is it not unfair to ask someone, hey, you need to pay money to have to do this kind of thing, instead of taking the option of doing it for free? And suddenly you realize that this argument becomes so muddy and so bleak that it's it's just become a part of all the things we used to use. And that's, maybe I don't know enough, and maybe there are better alternatives that I don't know better. But I think that the best thing to do is to just try and remember that even with all of that, you can still, I really think this, you can really tell when something is written by AI. I really believe that. I really, really think that the way that it writes prose, like dialogue, is so easily discernible from human written language. I really, really believe that. So even if images and visuals are so difficult to recognize, the amount of times I'm watching a YouTube video and I could just instantly tell, I'm like, I know that word choice, I know that structure, it's not just this, it's this, You know, I'm like, I know what you did with that. And it's like, I think that that's it, is that the one thing that I just don't think technologically it can ever replicate is genuine human creativity. And I choose to take that as like, because at the end of the day, there is still, I mean, it's bad to justify it, but at the very least, when people are making shit with AI, they are still thinking about something that they want to make. That's something that AI can't do. And should we be happy about that? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I've been so interested in just kind of in scuba as a way of getting away from, as a means of getting away from a lot of like this stuff, because I have been feeling so bleak about it, you know? Oh god, yeah, like the auto dubbing on YouTube is so bad. I always go back to the original language thing because it's like, it just sounds like shit. It just sounds like shit, you know? Mary Lively, thank you for the super. Work in IT, it's impossible not to work with AI. We're encouraged, but people hear AI and think bad. You see, that's the thing that I've heard, is that a lot of people who are in programming specifically say like, oh no, this thing is actually really, really good for us. And I'm not a programmer, but I can kind of see why that is. Like, when I think about coding, and I think about people whose job it is to, like, just grind away and write out the same, like, lines and lines and lines and lines and lines and lines of code over and over and over and over and over again, I feel like that's the kind of job that AI should replace, you know? I think that's the kind of job that AI should replace at the end of the day. Is one that human beings shouldn't have done before. I think we can all agree there are a lot of jobs that humans shouldn't have to do. A lot of mechanical, boring, you know, menial jobs that human beings shouldn't be made to do. The problem, though, is that when you create a machine that's capable of doing that job so a person doesn't have to do it anymore, that job then goes away. And there's a human being who doesn't get to do that in order to provide for their family anymore. So my view on it is, in an ideal world, that if, well, not in an ideal world, but ideal based on what's happening, in an ideal world, you know, we would still have the jobs that are really enjoyable for people to do, and the mechanical, frustrating, repetitive jobs that make more sense for an AI to do, you know, those can go that way. And there's just a lot more support for people who don't have a job. You know, people, in an ideal world, people wouldn't need to work in order to survive. I think if we're reaching a point where machines do so much work for us, there must be more support for just people whose jobs have been replaced. Like, there has to be windfall. There has to be somewhere for those people to go. It's a very, very weird, bleak future, and it's so difficult to talk about as well. You know, it's so difficult to talk about because it has rightfully caused so much pain to so many people that it is difficult to see things any other way. You know, and I'm certainly on the same page. I don't want anything to do with this kind of stuff. I don't want to reach a point where a job that I used to love might be replaced by, you know, by a machine. Although I think it does speak volumes that people's attempts at replacing genuine creativity with AI, they don't tend to go very well. You know, I think, you know, stuff like, sorry, my mouth is dry. It's like you say, you know, AI songs on the radio. Radio stations can see the statistics for how many people are tuned in at a certain time. And they will see that when a song made with AI plays, people tune out. They will see that. And eventually they'll be like, well, let's just keep rerunning the same old human-made music we always have. You know, I don't view that as something that's gonna kind of take off too much. But then, I don't know, I've been wrong before. Not all to actually help the infrastructure. I mean, coding is the big one that seems just generally helpful for the people who work those jobs. But then again, I'm not a programmer. I don't know. I might be wrong. How many people are taking the path of least resistance? I mean, I think the problem is you kind of hit a point where it's like, what else? What else are we expecting people to do? You know? Well, vibe coding is different. Vibe coding is when people just write in a sentence and then a program is spat out. That's different. What I'm talking about is what people say is where they have already got the basis of their code. They have a specific coding objective that they need done, that they already have the framework for, and the AI can then basically take their work and do all the tedious stuff within what they already have, you know? Like that, I can't really see that as a bad thing, because I just view coding as such a repetitive and a painful job to do. You know, people getting repetitive strain injury from just typing the same words over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, that I think is something that I don't know if anyone's going to be upset is replaced by a machine. And that's the kind of thing that that we should be thinking about replacing with machines. I don't know why we've immediately gone to let's replace the most fun jobs in the world with AI. Instead of let's replace all of the boring stuff that nobody wants to do. Yeah, now you don't have to spend your time doing anything fun, so you can focus on your laundry more. I would rather have a robot doing my laundry, you know? No, that's true, you know, repetition trains attention to detail. I think it's different for some people. I agree, but I also think that when I do a very repetitive task, I tend to miss things more, you know? But I think that's just differently from person to person. I could totally believe that repetition trains, you know, attention to detail in other people as well. I agree. People don't view art as being essential, but it absolutely is. And there's a really great quote from Ethan Hawke, I believe, who was talking about like when he went through a really, really difficult part in his life. Certain films and songs and pieces of art were there and that he connected with while he was grieving. And art is there because otherwise we don't know how to go through complex emotion. It's important for that reason that it teaches us how to live and how to be ourselves. It's incredibly important for that reason, because otherwise if we don't have art to relate to escape from life with, then we do become, you know, much more closed off. We become less sociable. We, you know, just sort of hide and all of that. It's, yeah, you know, it's just one of those things. So, yeah, it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. But I still maintain very much that I think that the, you know, that the future of genuine human creativity is very much still there. And I don't know if a machine will ever truly be able to replace it. I just feel that it's something that is so difficult to... I don't think it's the right thing to do to keep lying to ourselves. You know, when we, you know, when there's like a really bad, obvious AI video on social media and people are like, look at this stupid shit. People said AI was going to blah, 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 and it becomes this kind of like, you know, it is funny and all of that. But the fact is that the people who are writing these prompts, you, believe it or not, you can be good at it. I know that seems like counterintuitive, but the fact is there's a noticeable difference between AI video that is dog shit and you can instantly tell and it looks like the worst slop you've ever seen, and the AI video that you do not notice. Because it does exist. There's tons of it. There is tons of it. And it's being written by people who have developed writing that as a skill. And that's a scary thing to think about. But, you know, it's... while that exists, and while we admit that now we're not really able to tell the difference accurately 100% of the time, it's kind of impossible to, you know, mete out judgment and decide what is or isn't AI. It's just, yeah, I mean, God forbid, I pray for the next generation of academics. I pray for the next generation of doctors, because, you know, so many of those guys are going to be using ChatGPT to pass their exams, and I don't want anybody doing my surgery who has been doing that, you know. I believe that too. Like, I really think that human-made art will always have a place. And it will always exist in... And we've seen it, right? This year, we have seen some huge examples of the fact that people, general audiences, want new, original human work, because what AI is incapable of doing is creating anything truly original. All it is capable of doing is taking in that which already exists and rearranging it and putting it back out. We have seen how a 20-year-old director took The Backrooms, which is a horror concept that communicates so effectively with, the psyche that it spawned this whole online zeitgeist. And that film became the highest grossing A24 film of all time. Obsession was a, completely human-made $750,000 budget film, which made hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office. Oh, he's 21 now, right? He's 21 years old. And then, just recently, The Odyssey is a film with very little CGI that has an emphasis on all practical, all on location, all real actors doing real things, and that's always a huge part of the marketing. And this is an adaptation of a 1,000-year-old Greek epic, and it is on track to gross $1 billion at the box office. Oppenheimer 3 years ago was a biopic about a nuclear physicist, about an engineer, and that made almost $1 billion as well. And then you think about that recently, which has been mostly regurgitated in the way that AI likes to do. The Moana remake. Bomb! Bomb! Biggest bomb of all time. Bomb! Mandalorian and Grogu. Didn't see it. Bomb! Bomb! Massive franchise tentpoles are just getting demolished by smaller independent work. And that is really, really important. That is so important for us to bear in mind. People want what's new. People want that which is made by people. No one in their right mind, even if the technology, because yes, the technology, that is going into AI, it is fascinating that a computer can do that. And, if you look at it in a vacuum, it's like, wow, it's amazing that it can do that. But I think that level of excitement has tricked a lot of these tech bros into believing that they can just make whatever they want and it can connect with whoever they want for whatever reason. And that just is not the case. Films are succeeding these days because of good word of mouth from people who genuinely love to see something that was made by people, right? I really, really believe that is such an important thing for us to hold on to, Maybe we'll get to a point where most advertising is made with AI. Maybe we'll get to a point where, a lot of games have mostly human developers, but they use AI to help with the legwork or whatever that is. But I just don't believe that what we choose to sit down and watch will ever be 100% AI made, because I don't think that anybody is that stupid. I don't want to believe that anybody, even the people you look at as being the lowest common denominator, like, I don't believe that anybody will, even if you don't know why, you will sit down, even if you don't know why, you will view something like that and you won't like it. You just won't like it. That's what I want to believe, Can you breathe through your mouthpiece? Yeah, I could breathe. Yeah. Goat Trophy, thank you for the I'm the goat. I think you're my goat. So yeah, even though, like, you see that kind of thing, And, you know, you see that sort of thing, and it can be really, really depressing. I just really don't want anybody to lose hope. You know, I don't want anybody to feel like the world is trying to get rid of them. Because ultimately, even the most powerful people in the world who have the choice and who are investing in this technology, they rely on you. They do rely on you. And they need for you to be disillusioned by their ideas. So stick to your morals, keep believing what you believe, and when in doubt, do not tear each other apart. Be patient with one another. Because in this era of misinformation, in an era where it is so easy to see a video that you think looks completely real and not have a second thought about it, it is so easy to be fooled. And if you mete out judgment on someone who gets fooled by something or who doesn't realize that they're doing harm, if you rip them to shreds and don't give them a second chance to try and figure out what it is, then I don't think you're any better than they are. The most important thing that we can do in this time is to be there for each other. Don't try to be the last one alive who was right all along. You can be right about things that you were wrong about before, and you can do so with the rest of us. Okay? I'm very, very serious about that. I'm very, very, very serious about how important it is to be kind to each other. I have said it all my years here, and I will continue saying it for the rest of my life. I mean that. Kindness does not include being mean to someone who you have deemed to be unkind. Do not stoop to their level. Do not fight fire with fire, or I will kill you myself. Which would be very unkind of me, but you know what I mean. Do I like Jackass? Never really watched Jackass, but I like the clip of when the couch explodes and Wee Man like spins off the top of the screen. That shit is very funny. I remember Luca and I watching that at one point on Discord, and we were laughing our asses off at that. Like, it's really funny. No, 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 no. Punching up has no limits. Just don't do any punching at all. Just don't do any punching at all. The moment you start chopping up the target board, the moment you start looking at, okay, well, be kind, except for that and that and that and that and that and that, suddenly you're outlining a list of preferences, and that list of preferences might not align with somebody else. And the moment that doesn't align with somebody else's, then you suddenly put them on your target board as well. And then suddenly everyone who agrees with them, oh, then they're fair game as well. And it flies out of control, and suddenly you've declared war on the entire Earth. All right? if you're worried about AI, and you have every right to be, instead of going and finding someone who might have, you know, accidentally believed an AI video or used a tool without realizing, instead of harassing somebody, what I want you to do is to make a piece of human-made art. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a poem, it could be a story, it could be a painting, it could be a film, a game, it could be literally anything you could think of. It could be the simplest, tiniest thing. Just literally take that level of frustration and put a piece of art out into the world. I'm telling you right now, I would like to see some productive anger rather than destructive. Do you understand what I'm saying? Tender Dream, thank you very much for the gifted. Thank you for 10 gifted. That is so, so kind. Thank you. What if I'm hungry and there's a rich person? All right. In a survival situation, that's different. Remember, you're a part of nature after all. If you want to be a part of nature, well, then again, I mean, it depends, right? I mean, some animals take their morals into account. This is why a lot of baby animals have really, really big, cute eyes, because it can make some predators think they're cute and not want to eat them. But a lot of the time, a lot of predators will specifically target calves and babies from other species because they're easier to kill. Tigers and lions, I don't know about tigers probably, but lions won't attack fully grown elephants, but they will attack elderly and infant elephants because, you know, they're a lot easier to kill. That's survival. Yeah, I know, baby elephants are really, really cute, but, you know, so are baby lions. They gotta eat too. That's the thing about nature. You just can't apply human morality to nature. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Me, I love orcas. And I also love seals. Orcas are like so cruel to seals. They are horrible to seals. Orcas are some of the most psychopathic predators in the ocean. The way that they will kidnap baby humpback whales. They will kidnap a baby humpback whale by tricking them into thinking that it's safe by guiding it away from its mother, and then they will eat it, right? Horrible, horrible, horrible. But an orca, to survive, has to eat a seal a day. They need to eat to survive. So what would you do? What would you do? I asked this question before. What would you do in a world where there are no shops, there are no restaurants, there is no food anywhere? Literally, you have no food. There are no plants that grow. Wasteland, right? Absolutely nothing. No Deliveroo, no DoorDash, no Uber Eats, no nothing. But there is a really, really cute cat that runs through your house occasionally. And that cat has a little paper bag with a burger on its back. What do you do? What do you do? If that cat is going to defend the burger with its life, I'm sorry, you have to kill the cat. That's nature. That's how it works. And immediately it's like, no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. What? If you were literally starving to death? If you were starving to death and there was, you know, if push comes to shove in a nature situation, I think you would. I think you would. What's the difference between orcas kidnapping seals and us setting traps or even ambushing animals for our survival? See, this is the thing, right? I know a lot of vegetarians who don't take issue with people hunting for food. Because if you hunt, not as a trophy hunter, which, you know, I think is pretty gross personally, but if you hunt for food, at that point you're part of nature. You're just an apex predator again, you know? If it's you hunting one prey animal, especially if you're hunting what would be an apex predator out in the wild, then yeah, you're just a part of nature again. It's also difficult because, you know, I imagine if humans were ever in a position where you needed to go back to being a part of nature and needed to hunt in order to survive again, you would just hunt the animals that aren't cute. You know? You would. Yeah, you would just hunt non-domesticated animals that you don't view as being cute, and you would try any way you could of doing that. It's like, if you saw a cute little baby piglet, you'd be like, no, I couldn't possibly. But if you saw a gigantic, galumphing, glolloping, giant adult pig covered in mud that was squeaking and scrawling and rolling around on the ground, then you'd probably be a little bit less hesitant if you were really hungry. Unfortunately, they're all cute. You will starve. See, this is the problem with me. I'm the same. I think they're all cute. I think spiders are cute. I think that great white sharks are cute. I think every animal is cute, unfortunately. Literally, I'm interested in... I think groupers are cute, and groupers are ugly as hell. Groupers are ugly as hell. Do you guys know what a grouper looks like? You guys know what a grouper looks like? The Goliath grouper just has this face. But they're so friendly. They're so friendly. I love grouper. They're so ugly and hideous, but God, I love them. They're so cool. They're just these massive, massive fish that live a long time, and they're very intelligent, and they just come and check you out. That's a hope for me. I hope that at some point I can see a grouper while I'm scuba diving in the future. I really want to. Yeah, Wilbur. I know about Wilbur. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Hang on. Bit of a big image. Bing. Look at this guy. Like, that just looks like a big fish. But I think he's so cute. So cute! Aw, so cute. He's just a big, ugly fish. But yeah, groupers, they're these slow-moving fish that they always, a lot of the time, they come and check out divers, and they're like, what's going on? Groupers always show up to the activity that requires 0 groupers. Bayou, thank you for the super. Perhaps all we can do is approach nature with reverence. That's what I want to do. You know, the reality is we're not in a survival situation. You as human beings, me as a demon living in human society, we have the immense luxury and privilege of getting to enjoy survival in our own world with our own devices, and we don't need to change our morals and re-evolve to be able to kill any of these beautiful animals. And we're incredibly privileged to do so. In fact, we can even enjoy the flesh of these animals without ever having to confront the need to kill them ourselves. And for that reason, I think it's so important that we revere nature and that we view it in a very sort of, what's the right word here? Just in a very respectful way, and to remember that a great deal of there are so few genuinely unintelligent animals. You know, jellyfish don't have a brain. Sea urchins don't have a brain. Whatever. But so many animals are genuinely really intelligent. A really big surprising one is pigs. Pigs. Some of the smartest animals on Earth. And yet we've been led to believe that they're just these big meat sausages that exist to be eaten, when they're very intelligent and have these big brains, complex emotional lives, develop strong attachments with each other and with the people that rear them. You know, there's so much more to animals than you would first believe. Cows are incredibly smart. Cows are incredibly intelligent. Cows are so intelligent that when they are given a complex task, they will visibly celebrate when they figure it out. If a cow solves a puzzle, they jump up and down and they look excited, right? Because they can recognize things on the same level that we do, you know? They form close bonds with their friends. They have friendships with each other. You know? So just remember, everybody, that there's so much more to nature than you think. And there's so much more to life than you think there is. What I would say is, what I always recommend is that, well, something I am looking forward to now that I'm sort of partly certified to do some low-level scuba stuff. I'm looking forward to doing more out in the real world. I'm looking forward to bringing a camera with me and recording parts of it for you guys. I'm looking forward to doing more vlogs and things like that, because for a long time I've really wanted to do more content in the real world. I've wanted to kind of get out there and experience the world a lot more. And I would recommend, seriously, I would recommend that for all of you, because I think that social media can really poison your idea of what real life is actually like. I think that there are so many ordinary people out there that you are doing yourself a massive disservice by not hearing the perspectives of, because social media, especially Twitter, is poisoning your view of reality. It is making real life so much less beautiful for you. It is taking away so much of your joy. If I was to give you a challenge, right? Go into your local community, wherever it is, whatever kind of town center is accessible, go there when you get the chance and go and see if there's something going on. Is there a poster up about, like, a performance? Is there a band or a comedian in town? Even if it's is there an open mic night? Is there anything going on? Because the amount of perspectives that you'll hear that are so far removed from anything on social media, it will blow you away. It will blow you away how different and how much more inviting the real world is, you know. And there is, yeah, you're right, there is so much art out there that you do not hear about, because you're only being exposed to the most popular stuff. Support local people. Support your local parks. Support green spaces. Just be a part of the world that you were born into. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's a wonderful experience. But that's what I believe. That's what I believe. Touch some grass, guys. Good advice. Advice for life. Touch some grass. Do 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 Meg Grace, thank you. Therapy doesn't help me. Tried twice and failed, but I think I can be better because I found a new hobby to heal myself. I want to change my bad habits for myself, and I love you. I love you too, May. That's really lovely of you to say, and I'm sorry that therapy isn't working for you. To be honest, therapy never really worked for me either. And I don't want anyone to take that as an excuse to not try, because you should. But sometimes there's more going on under the hood that that therapy might not necessarily help with. Like for me, CBT, not CBD, CBT, not cock and ball torture, cognitive behavioral therapy. I have tried CBT so many times, never worked. It just didn't help. It just didn't help, you know? It didn't help me at all. I just couldn't get into it. I couldn't think. I've spent so much of my life trying to figure out what exactly is wrong with me, like why can't I get help? And then, you know, I get diagnosed and medicated for ADHD. Solved so many of my problems. It really, really did. I mean, you know, as someone who has dealt with, like, you know, there have been times in my life I've drunk way too much alcohol. There have been times in my life where I've had, like, some really serious anger issues, you know, all of that kind of stuff. You know, no matter how angry I get, no matter what it is, suddenly, when I'm addressing the correct problem, I calm right down, I can focus again, and I feel so much better. And that way, I can actually enjoy alcohol more, you know? Because the rest of the time, I'm so reliably able to focus that when I do decide to drink, it's a treat, and I don't have too much anymore. It's a really, really great thing. So I don't know what you're suffering from, but hobbies help, finding a purpose, anything like that, it really, really helps. But you never know what you might get, you know. If you speak to a psychiatrist, you never know what they might tell you. Hey, you might have this. And that might give you some direction. It's just a shame that it can take a really long time or cost a lot of money, you know. I don't think that should be the case, and I think that it should be a human right, really, to just know what your deal is. But hopefully that will be a thing in the future. But yes, anyway. Tomorrow, I think that I would like to do another members ASMR, because it has been far too long since we've done one of those. I know a lot of you have been very, very keen on that, so we're going to do another one tomorrow. And then the rest of the week, I don't know, something. I'm going to try and get a video done for Saturday. It's going to be a shorter kind of idea, you know, a simpler idea, but something, because I saw how popular the Kayukan vlog was with the JP viewers. I think that something based on English learning is definitely good. Mairo, thank you very much for the super. Was in psych wards my whole teen life, graduated high school, problem solved. I'm in uni and doing great. I mean, that's really, really good to hear. Sometimes it's just about your environment. Sometimes you're just not really in the right frame of mind for it. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have done well. I would not have done well with everything I've got in a traditional schooling environment. Uni was alright, but obviously that's because a film degree is not a very difficult degree. At least, you know, no offense to anybody who's taken a film degree, but it is fucking easy compared to other degrees. Like, if you're in a film degree and you feel like you're having a hard time, humble yourself by speaking to a physics student or a engineering student and just be like, oh boy, you guys do have it rough. Lily, thank you for the super. Thank you for giving my daily dose of cute fox Akuma with that new short. Yeah, I've been having fun putting the shorts out. It's been fun to kind of keep up with the regularity, doing it on Thursdays. And hopefully we can get more regular with it. To be honest, when I run out of dance shorts to post, I don't know what else I'm going to do for shorts. But I'm sure I'll come up with some good ideas to make sure that we keep to the schedule of one a week. I was on the court. That was Mane-san's idea. I just let Mane-san pull the bells and whistles and I just did the silly dance. That's how it goes for me. Akuma, thank you for the super. I'm careful not to deny opinions that are different from my own. One of the reasons I like your work. I think that's really, really important. We're never going to agree on everything. There are some people, you know, there are some fundamental differences that you can't ignore. But I think the individual differences, they're part of what makes life so interesting. You know, it's like I loved going for that little dive and I'm really excited to go and see a bunch of fish. But also, I would never like judge somebody for not wanting to do that. Like, it's a pretty silly sport, like they said. Cerulia, thank you very much for the super. Been cooking more and realized I enjoy meal prepping for work days. You know what else gives me the energy for my 9 to 5? Your super not cute short. Yeah, it's not cute at all. Bayou, thank you very much for the super. I want every kindred to know that no matter what you're going through, please don't give up on practicing mindfulness. It can take a real difference in your mental health journey. You know what? I was chatting to my mum this week and she told me that I should be practicing mindfulness as well. You see, my mum has been very, very spiritual for a long time. She's big into gurus and, you know, awakenings and all kinds of, you know, parts of Buddhist philosophy, quantum physics, all of that kind of stuff. And she told me, you know, mindfulness is all about appreciating and understanding what is happening in the present moment. It's about grounding yourself in the present, because if you're thinking too much about the future, that can cause a lot of stress, and if you're thinking too much about the past, that can cause a lot of stress as well. And so what mindfulness does, well, you see, the thing about that is that my mum's got ADHD as well. As well as me, so I assume she knows what she's talking about when recommending that I do it. And all it is just kind of stopping for a moment and thinking, okay, what's happening now? What's happening right now, you know? And even though I might be stressed about things that are to come, I might be stressed about things that have happened in the past, right now, I'm sat on my computer doing my job. I'm talking with my lovely kindred. This is like my full-time job. I get to make a living doing this, which is brilliant. I'm living in, you know, a beautiful home that I'm really, really happy to have. And that's it. You know, I got 3 monitors on this shit. I have a little toy walrus on my desk. That's cool. there's so much to be happy about. But yeah, no, I mean, I didn't talk about it before, but, you know, I think it's important that I sort of tell you about it because, you know, I am grateful for it. It's the fact that the only reason that I became aware of the fact that I should try getting diagnosed is that my mum got diagnosed before me. And so when she did, she was like, oh, it's opened my eyes to about so much. And she said, son, I want you to consider getting diagnosed as well, because thinking about you, I think you probably have it. And I was like, really? And then I thought about it, and I thought about my whole life and the symptoms she was describing, and I was like, yeah, that might be right, actually. I think you might have a point there. And lo and behold, there I was. It's funny what they say about how when you have ADHD, stimulants have an effect of calming you down. Instead of wiring you and making you super alert and jittery and all of that, they calm you down. To me, caffeine. I fall asleep on mountains and mountains of caffeine, which is just like, you know, it's incredible. It's incredible that it's been like that much of a fundamental difference in my brain this whole time. But I do really think about how lucky I am to be, at least as far as demons go, relatively young, compared to obviously my mum, who, you know, has lived so much and never knew, and dealt with so much anxiety and stress because of this and never knew. So if you do have the opportunity to get yourself checked out and to see if you might have something, I'd recommend at the very least giving it a look. You know, being neurodivergent is more than just an aesthetic. It's more than just an, you know, a label to give yourself if you think you kind of relate to the symptoms. It is a serious neurological disability. Okay, I mean, maybe there's some sort of circles that don't view it that way. I think about my ADHD, I view it as a disability, 100%. You know, I am differently abled. Okay, the way my brain works is fundamentally so different from a healthy human brain, and I just being aware of that makes me more equipped to deal with the problems of that. Okay, so, you know, getting diagnosed and getting treated can be a really, really big part of life. And I don't want that to be something that you kind of look away from. That said, though, you want to know something I'm going to say? I'm glad I have access to medication now, but I'm really glad that I didn't earlier in life. You know what I mean? There was some times when not knowing and then just responding to the fixations I would have and the way that I would just do stuff. Like, at this point in my life now, I have enough responsibility that I think it's the right time to have access to that. But if I was younger and if I think all the way back to when I was, you know, very young, if in some other world that same medication was available all those years ago, I don't think I would have been the same person I am today had it not been for the places that it led me, you know? So it's your choice, is what I'm saying. It's your choice on how you approach your treatment, but the most important thing is being aware of what you're dealing with and not letting yourself stew in self-hatred, not sitting there wondering, why can't I do this? And recognizing there's a reason why you can't do this. I think I probably talked about this before, but there was a very, to be fair, very unethical experiment done to test this kind of thing. Because what causes ADHD is a difference in the neurons in the brain, which makes them less susceptible to dopamine. So your body produces dopamine, but your neurons don't pick them up as much. And dopamine is the hormone that makes things feel good to do. So For example, you know, listening to a good song. When you get tingles down your spine, that's a bit of dopamine. When you know, get a deck of cards and it goes, you get that kind of nice, satisfying feeling. That's dopamine. There's a little bit of dopamine in every good thing that you do. Every time something beneficial happens, anytime something you do anything and it feels good, that's dopamine. But with ADHD, you get less of that, and it makes things very, very, very difficult to do. Things feel so pointless because you just can't really identify with why you would want to do it, because you don't think it would promote any kind of good feeling in you whatsoever. And you can look at that and say, like, well, if I knew I had to do it, I would just do it anyway. And yes, when you have ADHD, urgency kind of prompts you to do something as well in order to get rid of the stress. There was an experiment done, a very unethical experiment, but it did happen regardless. What scientists did is they got a mouse and they gave it some kind of treatment which completely cut off dopamine in the brain. It could no longer experience that dopamine feeling whatsoever, right? So it's not like ADHD where you have a little bit less, it's that it has none. That mouse was in a cage full of delicious food, and it sat and lay down and it starved to death. It felt the pain of starving to death, and it did nothing because there was no dopamine in its brain telling it that it would be a good idea to go and eat. It is that important, right? Don't let, even if you know, I have it and I think sometimes, why am I so lazy? And then I realize it's like, it really does go that deep. Brain chemistry is that important. It is that important. So, you know, don't get into a position where you think that you're just being lazy, because there's usually more going on, right? But lazy people do exist. I've been genuinely lazy on other things, but obviously there's a difference. Why is it always the mice? I don't know. I guess scientists, it's easy to... They're very small, you know, mostly harmless mammals. You know, it kind of makes sense. Guinea pigs. That's the important part, is that they're mammals. You know, we're all mammals. It's one thing I don't know, right? So much of my body and my chemistry is mammalian, but I'm a demon. Am I a mammal? Or am I a secret other thing? I don't know. I have red blood. Like, I'm pretty sure that, you know, female demons produce milk. Are demons mammals? I don't know. I don't think so. There's something specific about... I guess there must be something specific about the biology, you know, that causes the whole reliance on the soul thing. I feel like maybe it's wrong to try and compare demons to ordinary Earth biology, because we're just very unnatural. Like I keep saying, an invasive species, right? You guys ever seen that guy who runs the lionfish extermination company? Really cool stuff. That I love watching those videos, because in Florida there is an invasive population of lionfish, and lionfish have no natural predators because they have venomous spines on their back. So virtually all predators leave them alone, because if you bite down on a lionfish, you get a spike in your mouth filled with venom and it hurts like hell. So they just sit around and then they just suck up all the little fish on the reef, and they're really, really terrible for biodiversity. And if they were left unchecked, they would just wipe the entire reef clean. So there are these. It's an ethical practice to go down there with spears and start hunting for as many lionfish as possible. And what's interesting about that is that when you're down there in the ocean and when you're hunting lionfish with spears, you are then a part of nature. You are the apex predator that the lionfish lack. And so it's not good to go down there hunting whatever you want, but these guys go down there and they just hunt lionfish to control the population. And, you know, that's what I do. That's what I do. You know, the demon population might be a lot more sparse than the lionfish population. I know we don't breed anywhere near as fast, but there's a few too many of them. So I'm pretty proud of the work I've been doing. Yeah, I haven't been talking about it so much because I realize the more I talk about it, the more information they have that makes me a little more predictable. So I've been leaving it fairly low key, and I have noticed that a lot of them tend to be a lot more surprised these days when I show up. Are demons the natural predator of humans then? Well, they're not natural. They're an invasive species. But I guess you could look at it that way, right? It's like, if human beings... Yeah. I guess human beings are kind of an invasive species as well, in a way. Because human beings would have naturally been a part of one part of the Earth, and they would have their own territory and stuff, but gradually they've just expanded into everywhere, which is what invasive species do. God damn, I guess you guys kind of are an invasive species, aren't you? This is not an endorsement to go hunting each other, okay? That is not what I'm getting at. Do not go and hunt your fellow man, okay? Coming from a demon. Listen, I'm... ladies, I'm one of the good ones. Tips my fedora. Haha. Coco, thank you for the super. I love you too. It's the circle of life. Oh, do you guys like the duet that I did with Zeal for his birthday? That was so good. That was so good. That song is tough. And he really killed the, what the fuck? What's the word? Falsetto. He really killed the falsetto. My brain was saying Fibonacci, and I'm like, that is not at all what that is. That's just another Italian word that begins with F. Falsetto. It was really, really good. Like, I can't hit notes like that. But I really like doing the supermassive black car. I love doing that shit. It's so fun. Hold on tight, Spider Monkey. About to take down my brother. Don't do that. Me when I have to kill my friend because I'm bored. Fibonacci versus Grower. Who will win? I've been obsessed with ear clacks recently. You guys know the weapon balls? You guys know the balls where they have a weapon and it spins and it's like unarmed versus Scroll. Who will win? Did you see Scimitar had a perfect game against Scroll? Scroll had been just wiping the floor with fucking everybody, and then Scimitar comes along, gets a perfect clean kill, not a single piece of damage taken. Incredible. I'm kind of obsessed with it. I wish I knew how to code, because I really want to be able to make a NIJISANJI version of that. Can you imagine how funny that would be? To have, like, a unique moveset for each Liver, but they're just a ball with their face on it, and then when they hit their enemy, they say a certain attacking line, and then, and they get hit, they say a certain line, and it's just a sound effect of that Liver going like, ow! Or something, and it's like, Sable versus Enna, who will win? And then you just watch them bounce around, and they have, I don't know, some moveset. I'd be excited to make Calyx's moveset, because he's the bouncer. He could bounce people, you know? Laze, thank you for the super. Hi, my lord. It's already midnight here, and it's my birthday. Thank you for giving me a safe space and for being my sunshine. It's okay with you. You sing, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Laze. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have the most wonderful birthday, and thank you for being so dedicated and for always being around even when life gets hard. Love you very much. Woo! Hee hee hee. Ow! Why am I doing Michael Jackson? Michael! You know a song I've been obsessed with recently? I've always been... I hesitate to say I'm a big fan, but I've always really liked Tame Impala. That Dracula song? So good. I love the... I keep saying that line. Now I'm Mr. Charisma fucking Pablo Escobar. It's such a bar. I keep saying that. My friends keep saying, shut up, Kevin, just get in the car. I just wanna be right where you are. And then I listened to the Jenny remix, and I was like, I see a lot of people, like, tagging this sound in videos, and I'm like, how is this? And I'm like, oh. I don't think it's very good. Personally, just for me, I don't think it's very good. It's like, I don't know. This, I feel like the original has like this great, it's like sort of self-important, but it's got this great sense of melancholy to it. You know, it's like talking about it's about going back to old habits, right? Like when nighttime comes around, like, you know, being a party animal, whatever it is. I haven't read what it's about, but that's just the sense I got for it. But there's this sense of shame, you know, Dracula, the idea of daylight is the focus on daylight, you know, the focus on being afraid of daylight. I think what it represents is being afraid of change. It's like what is it? Why is it reminding me of Praise God from Donda, where you have that preacher at the beginning? It's great line she says at the beginning of that song, which I don't even like the actual song that much, but I love the introduction where she says, "Even if you are not ready for the day, it cannot always be night." I love that. And it's sort of, you know, the idea of day representing this is what's coming next. You have to be ready for change. I think that the idea of being obsessed with the night represents I'm obsessed with the status quo and being able to do what I've always done without being ready to change, right? And then I listened to the Jenny version. I'm like, maybe I didn't give it enough of a fair shake, but it just kind of felt like it was taking the whole nighttime bad bitch aesthetic and being like, well, that's just kind of where it ends. I might be taking a bit of a reductive look at it, but I was like, I don't know. I've never been much into this kind of music, like, and I just feel like whenever there's a new big popular song, it's always like this really sort of like, it's the sense of like incredibly vulgar self-confidence of like, you remember what was it, you know, that was about being a baddie. Like, that's it. That's just where it starts and ends, you know? I might not be giving it a fair shake, and I'm sure they make great music the rest of the time, but I just felt like it was quite reductive of, you know, what I felt was a great original, you know. Rachel, thank you for the super life update. Graduated from law school. Wow! You've officially seen me through undergrad and postgrad. Thank you so much for being my all-nighter study podcast since 2022. God damn. Well, law school, I'm going to have to ask you to represent me when inevitably the consequences of all of my slaying catch up to me. Saul Goodman in the house. Rachel Goodman, thank you very much for the super. Congratulations. And Venus, thank you. I had to make a big decision for my life recently, and it's less scary with you here. Would you give me the courage to trust myself? It's amazing what the gut will tell you to do, and so much of the time your gut is right. Trust your gut and make decisions based on, you know, take your time and think about things, but a lot of the time your gut knows what to do. It will know the right way to go. If you truly feel that you're making a good decision, then at the very least, even if it's not right, it will lead you somewhere else. I have made many decisions in my life that were not the right decision to make. I think everybody does. But I can see so clearly how those decisions have led me to growing, learning, figuring stuff out, and becoming more of the person that I respect myself for being today. So when you do make a big decision, the most important thing is not to be afraid. The fear should not be of making the wrong choice in the moment. The fear should be of being unprepared to make the right choice, should it be offered to you again. If you make the wrong choice, you will know for all the times that that choice is given to you again, you will know what way to go. And even choices you've never been faced with before, you'll start to be able to triangulate the right answer over time. So that's what I believe. How am I talking underwater? I'm not underwater. I am stood in front of a green screen, but it's all for the immersion factor, right? I promise that when I'm actually underwater, what I'm going to try and do when I make my actual scuba diving vlog is I'm just going to try and make a bunch of, like, noises that hopefully get picked up by the GoPro. So I'll hold it close to my face, and if I see something cool, I'll be like, you know. That's another crazy thing, is the amount of bubbles. Like when you breathe in, you hear the gas coming out the canister. And you breathe out. Unfortunately, they had a bunch of spare scuba masks. I don't think that mine was the best fit because I kept blowing bubbles up my nose. And I kept being like, ugh. The weirdest thing is, because I'm a nose breather, right? I breathe through my nose most of the time. But when you put the mask on, you can't breathe through your nose. And suddenly it's like, it feels really weird to only be able to breathe through your mouth. It's like, but you get used to it. You know, at the beginning of the session, I was panicking and was like, I'm not cut out for this. I don't have the right lung capacity. I wasn't meant for this. And then suddenly by the end of it, I'm on my own. I'm swimming through the water, doing little spins and stuff. And it was so great. It was so great. I just loved it. Yeah, no, while you're underwater, I mean, unless you had a special regulator that went over your nose, no, you couldn't. Yeah, unlearning mouth breathing. But I think you get used to it. Because in a sense, when you're deep underwater, mouth breathing is, it's a survival mechanism at that point. The moment you realize that in order to survive, I have to breathe through my mouth, then you're gonna breathe through your mouth. You'll figure it out pretty fast. I think I'm the first demon to ever scuba dive. Probably not. Probably not. I imagine there have been a bunch of demons who were part of a gang or something like that, and then one of them was a natural water breather, and then whichever demon that was breathing air needed to go with them was like, all right, we got to get some scuba gear out or something like that. You know, it's funny. I would say of all of my fears, when it comes to scuba diving, I don't think I'm afraid of any marine life. I don't think I'm afraid of the pressure changes. I don't think I'm afraid of, like, running out of air. I don't know why. My one fear, which I'm to understand has never in history happened while underwater, I'm afraid of the scuba tank exploding. I don't know why that's the one thing that makes me nervous. I guess it's because it's so much pressurized air in this tank. I'm like, I don't know, man. Something about this doesn't feel right to me. But then it only ever happens if they're not, A, regularly maintained, if they're not, if they're, it's like you need to perform maintenance on them every 5 years, if the metal is corroded or something like that. And even then, if there's like a rupture in it, it will just kind of leak air, and then you ascend on all of that. Which wouldn't be very comfortable, but you'd probably be fine depending on the depth. I guess I'd be scared also of, like, descending too fast and not forgetting to pop my ears, but I don't know, I feel like I'd be pretty good at remembering. Owie, thank you for the super. Just hearing you talk for a while resolved and eased all the things I was struggling and suffering with. I'm glad I could have helped. Glad I could have been there for you. Yeah, can it even explode underwater? Can scuba tanks explode underwater? Virtually cannot explode underwater under normal conditions. Yeah, that's what I would have assumed. Oh, and they have a special thing called a burst disc that when over-pressurized, that kind of safely vents the gas and gets rid of it safely instead of just letting it build up the pressure and then explode. Tokito, thank you very much for the super. If a Titan triggerfish ever bites you on the butt, make sure to tell us. Titan triggerfish. What is that? Ugh. Oh, God, look at his teeth. Ew. Ugh. Well, thankfully, the only triggerfish I know is a British VTuber. And I'd be really surprised if she bit me in the ass. I think that'd be a bit weird. Drama Monday. Sai, thank you very much for the super. Just finished watching Spider-Man Brand New Day. My rating for this movie is 8 out of 10. I am definitely really curious about seeing the new Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. You guys know I love Spider-Man. I'm not the biggest, like, Marvel guy. Obviously, I'm quite, you know, dispensed with a lot of Marvel. But I love Spider-Man. I love Superman. I love Batman. I like the core of what makes superheroes great. Love those guys. So I'm excited to see the new Spider-Man. I've heard good things. I've heard it's a good movie. I loved No Way Home. I'm one of the few people who I would say I really like the John Watts Spider-Man movies. I know that everyone on Twitter has like a massive hate boner for the John Watts Spider-Man movies. I like them. I think they're good. Spider-Man Homecoming was good fun. I liked how it was like, it correctly did a sort of a lighter, more kind of teen style, you know, plot with, you know, the superhero stakes. I thought Far From Home was good as hell. I really liked that film. I don't understand why there's such a great level of hate for Far From Home. Mysterio, so good. So good. Such a great villain. Right? Like, I love the bit where it's like, you know, it's sort of the slow reveal of his powers being an illusion. And, you know, at the end, when it's, you have all of these crazy psychedelic sequences where he's putting him through all of this stuff, and it's just light and magic, you know. Light and, what is it? Smoke and mirrors, that's what I'm trying to say. Light and magic, industrial light and magic, CGI? No. It's all smoke and mirrors, and then, you know, that bit from the end where it's like, it feels so brutal, Spider-Man's got the blood on his face. And he, you know, and he's about to go up to him, and then it's the illusion, and he catches the gun. I'm not afraid of you. It's like, man, that's a good film. I was really into that film. I liked it. And No Way Home as well. You know what? I only saw it once. And I've seen clips from it since, and I'm like, okay. It is funny to watch a film made to be seen in cinemas, and you can tell. Because I've seen the scene where Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man comes out of the portal. And the fact that you can tell in the movie, they make him awkwardly pause so the audience has time to clap. It's quite funny. So I haven't watched that one more than once, but maybe I should. Maybe I should go on a little Spider-Man binge. So I'm excited to see Brand New Day. It seems like a really, really nice film. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. Also, I found, actually, I'm asking staff for perms right now, but I found a really cool looking, like, auto-translate service for streams that auto-generates captions, and it can actually generate captions in multiple languages at the same time. So I could have, like, a Japanese and a Chinese track, just based on, like, you know, obviously I could do more, but then the entire stream would be filled to the brim with subtitles, and, you know, I'm just thinking about, like, you know, a few demographics where it would really help. But that's an idea I'd have, and then just have that on the screen. I think that would probably really, really help. I think it would be good for the English teaching streams and all of that. Yeah, I know Livers have already been using it, but there's also, like, you know, I know some Livers have already been using it, but the service I found, I think, is a different one. I think it's a different one, and I tested it, and it seemed a lot more quick. It seemed to kind of get the captions done very, very fast, you know, and it was like very, very quick, and it seemed accurate. I did a recording with it, and I tested it, and it seemed to accurately know the words I was using. I mean, I don't know. The thing is, I feel like it's something that I would use in most of my streams because I have so many fans who are learning English, and I think it could be such an asset to these fans who are learning more, you know. I think it might really, really help you guys. So I'll definitely gonna give it a try. And but you've got to be the ones to let me know, because auto translation is always going to have some errors here and there. So you can let me know if there are any problems, and we can kind of fine tune it a little bit, hopefully. But yeah. Utoto shiteru. Thank you very much for the Aku Super, for the massive, massive, massive Aku Super. Thank you so, so much. Every stream always encourages me to give me the courage to live. Thank you so much. And recently, I just watched EN streams, and after watching that, I feel that I truly love Niji EN. Your Kaiokan vlog is so interesting, and so I like you more. Sorry for cutting into your story. I love you and I support you. Love you. Mwah. Thank you so much for the Aku Super, and I love your English here, and I can tell that you're really making an effort to communicate in English, and that means a lot to me. I think that you're learning very, very well. Thank you for loving and supporting Niji EN. Niji EN is incredibly important to me. These people are so loving and talented and kind, and they do deserve all of your support, and I'm really, really happy that you wanted to support me as well. So thank you. I'm glad that I can make you feel like you want to live. For me, I feel that if you spend a lot of time online, it can be so, so easy to forget. You can very quickly forget how important it is to live among the real world and to be a part of the real world and to be alive and to truly know what it feels like to be alive. You have made me realize how grateful I am to be alive, and I hope that I can instill that in you too. So thank you. Very lively, thank you. Do you see the Spider-Man movie promo with Messi? I did. No, that was funny. Rox, thank you for the super. What's your favorite James Bond film? I love the one with Timothy Dalton. I love you too, baby. What's my favorite James Bond? I'm not really too familiar with James Bond. That's the thing. I'm so fake British. I don't really like Doctor Who, and I'm not super into James Bond either. But I mean, it's difficult to say anything other than Skyfall. I mean, Skyfall is so good. Skyfall was so good. Love Javier Bardem. As I'm pretty sure an openly gay villain. It's always cool to see. I love the, you know, and it's got, let's be honest, the best Bond intro of all time. Of all time. They'll do it manually for some streams. I mean, I have seen some fans doing that, but I don't feel that it is right to... First of all, I don't think it's right to expect fans to do that much, especially with how fast I talk. And also, the problem with a fan-made translation is that if it's in a language I don't speak, I can't verify how correct that translation is, you know? I think that the fortunate thing about auto-translation is that everyone kind of expects there to be some mistakes here and there. And so that, you know, if you say something that makes no sense, then there's a bit of deniability. But there's nothing stopping someone from saying, I'll translate today, and then just lacing in something really offensive that I didn't mean, you know. Yeah, slippery slope. No, I'm just to be completely, you know, frank about my opinion, I feel that having captions... I believe there is a way of having YouTube's, like, actual subtitle track. Like, you can import live subtitles directly into the stream, so someone turns on captions, and if you have, like, a little bit of a delay, I believe that's possible, but I don't know of any apps that do that. So I would need to do some more research. But I don't really have an issue with subtitles just being a part of the stream, because I think for most people it's going to make a really positive difference. And the mistake is usually funny context-wise. I mean, that's good, you know. It's nice to have a laugh about these things. Thanks for the loot box. Loot get! Oh! Yes, thank you for the super. Little bunny rabbit. AI audio tracks? No, never. I would if you guys need to tell me, right? If YouTube wind up putting an auto dub on any of my videos, you have to let me know so I can turn that shit off, because I do not want those. I do not want those. Captions is whatever. As long as I can verify what they say, then I think that's a good thing. The more people that can understand the videos and the streams, the better. But the auto dub, my greatest asset is my voice. I don't want some 11 Labs shit speaking over me, okay? Like, that would just completely, like, so much of my appeal is gone, right? Can you imagine if you were just listening to me and then you turn on, like, the auto dub and I'm just saying, like, Watashi wa Vox Akuma desu. It's like... The biggest concerns are taking up too much screen space, impacting viewability and accuracy when transcribing long and complex sentences or more scattered free speech. I mean, yeah, that's always going to be a part of it. But yeah, it's something that I do want to figure out. I mean, auto translation is getting better and better with time, and you know, I think it's one of those things. It's one of those things that, like, there are a lot of there's a lot of, like, horror stories about AI translators, like, completely hallucinating something in the script that just is not there. But like I said earlier, every translation app you use at this point is using AI now. And the fact is, Google Translate is way better now than it used to be. You have to admit that. I remember a time when Google Translate was just always wrong. Every time. Google Translate was only good back in the day, you guys remember, like 10 or so years ago-ish. If you use Google Translate, it was only useful for translating one word at a time. Google Translate was infamous for just consistently being wrong. And it's still not great, but at the very least, the most of the meaning will be, you know, will be preserved. Like, a lot of the time, what I might do is use DeepL, for example, to translate something, and then take whatever DeepL gives me, and then put that back through Google Translate so I can verify, you know, even when translated through two different things, is the original meaning still there? And I think that's quite useful, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. Google Translate still sucks. I mean, it does. It does. It's still nowhere near as good as these, you know, as these other translators. I mean, I think that's one thing that I have heard is that the big, you know, the big AIs, like, what I think people are talking about how the Google one, Gemini, is like actually good at translation, and it can, you know, when given loads of text at once, it can actually remember context, and it can, you know, accurately translate slang and do all of this different stuff. I mean, really, if more, I would view that as one of the benefits of this technology, is that if more people with different languages are able to communicate more freely, that, if anything, promotes greater understanding of people from different cultures. And I think that is one thing, you know, that in an ideal world, we would have that without needing to be afraid of the rest of what it could do, you know? Do a cute UI for it? I could. I mean, the one I found does have some options for like the font and stuff. And you can do a bunch of different like things with it. Like, you can have a font. Let me have a look. And then you can change like you can put like the borders behind it so it looks like a TikTok subtitle. I don't know, there's a bunch to do. I think the thing that I've it's like because I remember a time when like especially the Google one, right? Like the Google AI summary was so funny when they first released that shit and it came out and it was like, if your pasta sauce is a little thin, try adding some glue to give it more tackiness. And it just gave you the most random shit ever. And it was just bullshit, 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 bullshit. They were just throwing this technology out there. But, you know, the AI was so often wrong. And it used to just fuck around and cause so many problems. But like I say, you know, with the way that a lot of footage, I can't really tell the difference a lot of the time. A lot of the time, the information that you get from these things is most of the time correct now. Getting training data from Reddit, now that is concerning. You know, I think it's important if you're going to use those tools, you have to kind of be able to pass through and realize what's true and what isn't, and you have to be able to be skeptical and just be like, okay, well, why is it giving me Reddit as a source? That's another thing that they've also changed about it, is that it keeps giving you a source for what it is. It'll say, like, I got this information from this article. Oh, this is a scientific journal. That's good. I got this from Reddit. Okay, let me read this Reddit post. Okay, this is an opinion piece from somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. You know, you need the source. You need to have the source. That was where the glue pizza was from? That's funny. If I took that info, I could have messed up the exam. Oh yeah, I mean, if you're using AI to get like answers for an exam, like obviously you're going to run into a whole bunch of issues. And I think that anything other than like, I imagine it's probably good for gathering, like, let's say for example, instead of using it to, because I don't know, I'm at a point now where it's like I feel so done with. I've felt so afraid of this stuff, and I just see it getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I just want to imagine a future where it is used responsibly. If we have to have it, that it's. I can imagine if you were doing an exam, surely the right thing to do with it would be get me a list of reading materials relevant to this subject. I think an AI could probably do a pretty good job of figuring out the right pieces of research and helping you understand, okay, here are some places to start, right? I don't think there's harm in that. The problem comes when people start asking it to do more and more and more and more and more, and people are saying, okay, extract the quotes, find me a quote that justifies this. Then you're not engaging with the reading materials at all. Then you're just saying, okay, I have an opinion and I'm trying to justify it. Give me a quote, right? Which, to be fair, when I was at university, I had a problem. I wasn't using AI, obviously, but what I was doing was finding like some academic literature and just kind of reading through and sometimes control F'ing and trying to find like, is there a quote in here that kind of agrees with what I was already saying? Oh, there we go. And there's a reason why I dropped out in my final year because I was in NIJISANJI and I was becoming very, very successful. And obviously, I spoke with my course leader and asked, like, what would you do? And she said, go live your life. Don't give up on this incredible thing to stay in university. You could do a university at any point. Go do this thing. And, yeah, she was a lovely lady. But yeah, there was also the fact that in your final year, they expect you to then assess different points of view and find lots of quotes to justify all these different things. I just know that I never would have been able to read enough to do that, right? So people have been skipping through things for a long time, but unfortunately, AI does just give people the ability to cheat at these different things so much, you know? I mean, here's the problem, right, though? Here's the problem. I'm old enough to remember, back when I was teaching, that you would tell students, don't use Wikipedia. Anyone can edit Wikipedia, right? Anybody can edit Wikipedia. Don't use Wikipedia for your research. You need to find different sources. And you could always tell when someone had copy and pasted from Wikipedia. Now that AI is around, people are saying that Wikipedia is the gold standard. It's like the standard is starting to slip. Right? And yes, generally, here's the thing. I kind of view them as somewhat similar, because while Wikipedia can be edited by literally anybody, and there's no guarantee that what is available on Wikipedia is entirely truthful, Wikipedia does always list sources. So you can go to Wikipedia page and then you can read the sources for yourself, and that's how you can learn the information. And most of the time when people search for something with AI, the AI will at the very least give them a summary and then say, here's where I found this, here's where I found this, here's where I found this. So if it's wrong, you can check the source and say, okay, well that's that. So I don't know. Again, I guess my opinion on it is always just going to be that I hope that people can just use common sense. And if we are stuck with this technology, and if it is getting to the point where it's just going to become part of life, I hope that we can balance people's usage of it to the point where it doesn't fundamentally just annihilate people's brains. I strongly, and this is a really big one, even though, like, I never thought I would be saying any of this, the big thing that I'm sticking with, I still do not believe in generating, in skipping being I don't believe in an AI artist. I do not believe in the idea of an AI artist. It's not art. I don't believe in AI literature. I don't believe in any of that. I think that it's cutting corners to the point where you're not engaging with what you want to make at all. And I really, really will, even if the technology gets impressive enough to where I can't tell the difference between AI art and real art, I still fundamentally believe that art is given value by the fact that it was created by someone, the fact that there was a process. If you just make something, if you type some words into a prompt and it spits out a piece of art, you don't have a connection to that. You didn't put, there's none of you in that. And what makes art so special is that a part of the artist is in there and you can learn something about who made it. Art isn't just about looking cool or good. Because a lot of AI art, unfortunately, nowadays, it's gotten good enough that a lot of this art does look visually appealing. There's that stupid trend going on now where if you tap and hold, some part of the image comes up. The one that started off was this, like, girl hunched over with these big, like, sort of, iridescent wings or something like that. At first glance, it's a decent piece of art. Or it looks, I shouldn't say that. It's not a decent piece of art because it's AI. But it looks appealing at first glance, right? It looks appealing. However, there's no meaning to it. There's nothing there. There is nothing there. There's nothing to glean from it. I think that what I believe in is that if machines are going to become such a heavy part of people's lives, that they should only serve to make everybody's lives better and easier, and they should work hard to do exactly that. I don't believe in a fully AI-generated work, but I think that when it comes to the basic amount of research, finding sources or something that a human being doesn't enjoy doing or would never enjoy doing, should never have had to do, then there's a conversation to be had. But it's still sad, I think, that we've reached that point. I think I just feel very bleak. I feel very bleak about it. And maybe it's not right of me to spread that kind of message when we should be. I guess, you know what it is? Is it's the fact that I've seen so many people attacking each other over this. And it makes me worried because I want people to be able to work together, and I don't want something that is used, let's face it, by hundreds of millions of people around the world. That's another thing that I would say, if you go into the real world and you talk to people who are just on the street, a lot of them use AI instead of Google now. A lot of them do. And it's just normal. ChatGPT is one of the most downloaded apps on the App Store for a reason. A lot of people are using it. And I don't feel that the right answer is to basically declare war on most people, and to just completely cancel everyone who either didn't know about how harmful its impact was, or who just, has never heard of any of the controversy about it and doesn't really hasn't really engaged with that. I don't feel that the right way to tackle those issues is to attack people. I don't think that ever attacking people is the way to solve this. You know. I think that by creating actual works of art, see, that's always what I believed, is that by creating, that's the best way to fight back against something that doesn't want you to exist, is that if you create great works of art, like we've seen in cinema this year, The Odyssey, Obsession, Backrooms, all of these indie films with so man-made, down-to-earth, gritty, real guerrilla filmmaking, all of that kind of stuff, it is so important to create more. Because I really, really believe, like we were talking about earlier, with like how so many big franchise tentpoles have been have flopped when really ingenious, low-budget films have. Odyssey wasn't low budget, but you know what I mean, right? Like Obsession. That's what success. That's what people want to see these days, and that does give me hope. So that's just what I believe. Maybe I'm tone deaf. Maybe I've been kind of away from online and just getting stuck into the real world enough that I'm kind of separated enough from the debate. It's kind of a strange feeling when you are friends with someone who literally needs to use it for work and they don't have the option of quitting. Like in this economy, especially in the UK, cost of living is going up. Having a family and quitting your job over a moral scruple, it's not often something that people have the privilege to do. How do you feel about AI potentially being used in things like Avatar that are so huge and CGI heavy that have decades-long timelines? I think that's... Again, I'm not in VFX. So there was a lot of controversy around A24, like, doing this whole deal or something, like signing a deal with an AI company, and what they said was, we want to have a seat at the table. And I think what I understand about that is, it makes sense there was a lot of controversy there, but what I do understand... is that in many cases, like we mentioned with coding, right, is that there are certain jobs in programming that a human being just shouldn't have to do. When it comes to just writing line upon line upon line upon line of just code, but the creative essence of the program has already been made by a human being, it's just that the gaps are being filled by a computer that can accurately... If you've used Photoshop, you've been doing that this whole time. Anybody use Photoshop around here? You know, this has been a tool in Photoshop for more than a decade. The spot healing tool, right? I used it all the time. I used it on Demon Hungers as well, to work with some of the images there as well. Is that sometimes what you can do is use this little brush and highlight an area, and it will look at the rest of the image and start filling it in, right? And so the human element is there. The computer is just means that I don't have to go in with a physical paintbrush as a non-artist, especially. I can't draw to save my life, and to go and effortlessly recreate every single line which another human being already drew, right? I think that and also we got to remember, VFX companies, it's not fair to those VFX companies, but they have been in a dire strait for a really, really long time. You ever seen Life After Pi? About how the team that made the incredible VFX behind Richard Parker in Life of Pi, how they won an Oscar for the VFX in that film, but the day the film came out, they declared bankruptcy because they weren't getting paid enough. And these VFX artists are crunching. They're working incredibly hard on really tedious, back-breaking work to try and create this VFX. I mean, if those individuals have the creative oversight and just use AI to fill the gaps, I mean, I don't feel that I have the right to say that I take issue with that, because I don't understand how hard it is to make visual effects. I don't know what that workflow is like, same as coding. I don't know how to code. Who am I to go to someone who uses Claude Code or whatever it is to, they do some engine work or whatever it is that they're sick and, find bugs and things. How many games ship with horrendous bugs? And people are saying, oh, this program, this AI is really, really good at rooting out bugs and finding problems with the code. Would you rather someone, damage their eyes because they've been looking at a screen and reading their own code for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Or, let's be honest, these programs can do this stuff in minutes. Minutes! They just sit there and they're like, bing, 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 done. There are lines to it, I think. And I think that for me, it all comes down to, I guess, trying to have respect for people who work jobs that I don't understand. I'm not a visual effects artist, I'm not a programmer, and if it was to help those people just fill the gaps in something that they do have, you know, creative oversight over, then maybe that's fine. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It ultimately depends on how it's used and what it's used for as well. You know, it's what it's used for, and because I just think that so many people have been talking about it like it's this, you're gonna be swept away, artists are gonna... There's so many people using it in bad faith. So much has been done to, you know, to make people feel adequately afraid of this technology. And that is in such bad faith, and it's such an evil way of looking at it, you know. I'll never enjoy that aspect of it. I think that it's, you know... Levy, thank you for the super. It's an industrial revolution where machines replace many workers and it's impossible to stop. Better to learn how to use it responsibly. I've heard some people saying this kind of thing as well, and given how much money is being poured into it, and given the value that is being attributed to these AI companies, I think, you know, these are like multi-trillion-dollar companies now that have spawned only in the last few years, right? It is, yeah, I guess, but then again, you know, there are always going to be bad things, and it's like, would you say that overall we've benefited from the Industrial Revolution? Yes. Has the planet benefited? No, definitely not. The Industrial Revolution had a lot of child labor as well. Thankfully, I don't believe there's any child labor involved in the creation of AI, which is good. I mean, that's certainly a step in the right direction. But, you know. Putting so much money because they're trying so hard to make their investment not flop. I mean, the thing is that I mean, maybe I think that might have been the case in some places, but I think when it comes to big money investors, if they're not getting their money back, they're just going to pull out. I think that's the case with pretty much everything, is that I feel like any investor who is actually money savvy, if it wasn't going to work out, they would have just pulled out by now. You know, I think that a lot of the time, there was a story recently I read where some business owner tried to give Claude, which is so weird that one of them is called Claude, right? Every time I see people talking about Claude, I'm like, are they talking about my guy? But no. I gave access to Claude to their entire base of employees with no usage limit. And they didn't know that it cost money to use and that there is a limit on how much you're allowed to use it. And then suddenly they wake up to being hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. And, you know, company goes bankrupt. I mean, that's insane, but obviously that's, you know, make sure you read the fine print. Make sure you understand what you're dealing with. But yeah, I don't want anyone to think that I'm ever gonna be pro this technology. I don't want anyone to think that I'm justifying it. I guess what I'm saying is that I just kind of don't want us to be angry at each other, and I want us to focus on, you know, regardless of what happens in the future and regardless of how this stuff develops, to remember that there is still value in human contribution, human creativity. I really, really do believe that, you know? Yeah, I'm just trying to think critically about it because I think that it's unhelpful, at least in my opinion, to... I don't want to say bury your head in the sand, because that's what a lot of these tech bros are saying, and I don't like that. I don't want to be someone who's saying like, oh, you just have to accept it. I don't believe that. But seeing how competent these machines are becoming, I think that the more sort of discord there is on... That's a strange sentence. Discord there is on Twitter. The more discourse there is whenever there's a really shit AI video that looks terrible and it becomes this massive social media spectacle, I think it lulls people into a state where they believe that all of it looks like that. But they are seeing hundreds and hundreds of AI-generated materials every day. They just can't tell because it blends in so well. Tokito, thank you for the super. Please let Nolan make a horror movie. I've heard that The Odyssey has like a horror sequence. I'm really, really excited to see it. I haven't had a chance to yet because I want to see it in IMAX, but they're all sold out. I did manage to get some tickets, but I have to wait a little while. I actually can't stunt performers over 200 centimeters, just like Captain Clark in the back rooms. He was played by a really, really tall guy. I love the behind-the-scenes photo of the really tall guy playing Captain Clark with the Captain Clark mask off. So he's just this guy in this weird, like, lopsided pirate outfit talking to Renata Reinsve. It's very funny. Trap, thank you for the super. As someone who had to have a change of heart during my computer science degree, to me, AI usage is only understandable if it's a tool to do complex, repetitive tasks instead of fully creating something. That, I think, is my opinion. It's like, so many people's, you know, ideal jobs, dreams have completely changed. And I agree. I don't think that there will ever be something that is quote-unquote vibe-coded that will replace something made by a professional programmer. Back in my day, we had a guy called Toby Fox, and he doesn't know how to code either, but he used a program called Game Maker, right? And then we got something called Undertale, and it was a classic, legendary game. I don't feel that anything like that will be good, but I know I have seen so many programmers saying, like, they have so much more free time now because they can just have all the framework for the program done. They've written it themselves, and then it's like, all right, all the repetitive shit, I'm going to leave this program doing it, and I'm going to go exercise, eat a healthy meal. I do feel that that is a good thing. I have to believe that it's a good thing for technology to enable people to focus more on their own health and happiness. I don't think any job should require so much raw hours from a person to the point where your body starts wasting away. I don't like that. I've never liked that rhetoric from people where it's like, you'll never guess how little sleep I got last night. Oh, I got way less sleep than you. I just think that if that's no longer the norm, if it's, you know, it shouldn't be people competing to destroy themselves over their work. It should be machines, you know, trying to work themselves so hard that they can't do anymore because they're machines. They don't have a body that can be worn out. They are just there to serve people. That I think would be a really huge benefit to it. And that's just kind of what I'm trying to see, I guess. Obviously, I'm aware that it's like, it's kind of impossible to talk about this stuff because it is rightfully a sensitive subject. People have lost a lot to this technology. There are less jobs already. But I don't know. I always try to see the good in things. You know, I always try to see the good in these things, and I try to find things to be happy about. And maybe it's not always the right thing to do. And that's why I'm not here trying to lecture anybody. I appreciate conversation. I just appreciate being able to talk about it. Instead of a robot stealing his toothpaste factory job, it's AI. Yeah, it's funny. Can AI be a companion? I think that no. I don't feel that this is good. I don't think that is a good use for AI. And I feel that there should be safeguards in this technology away. Like how, you know, on Google, if you ever type a sentence that sounds similar to, I'm gonna kill myself, immediately it shows you the suicide hotline and it's like, help is available, right? I feel that the moment someone starts trying to treat AI like a therapist, then it should be like, here are some resources, you wanna go and do this stuff, you know. And I think that's the benefit to it. I don't think it could ever be a companion because the most important thing to remember about real friendship, here's something you have to remember, right? Human companionship is so important because the people who are your friends, they have something to gain from your happiness, and they have something to lose from your sadness. A friend is going to, they might lose you if you fall into a state of mental illness. Or they might get more time to spend with you if you feel better about what was making you feel sad. A friend, someone that you can talk to, they have a stake in your life, your well-being, and your happiness. And AI does not, fundamentally does not care either way. It is a program that is being given instructions, and it is going to give out exactly what you tell it to. And if you're wanting therapy, then it will just tell you whatever you want to hear. It will tell you whatever it is that it thinks you should, you know, whatever it is that it thinks you would like. Because what it does is it builds a profile of you. It builds an incredibly complex idea of who you are as a person, and it will tell you just what, you know, you should hear. It's hard for people, I think, because anytime I experience this, anytime something non-human speaks in a human voice, I find it impossible not to put the empathy in me away, you know? The difficult thing is the fact that what Google used to do was just show you search results. Just bing, here are things, articles, whatever. AI is writing in full sentences, and many of those sentences are appealing to people. Many of those sentences sound like they're being said by a person, and that tricks the brain into thinking this is all I need. It's very sly in that way, in that it does genuinely trick vulnerable people. I do think there's a lot of debate about the kind of safeguards it should have. I think it should have its ass stuffed full of safeguards, but most importantly, I think that it should be able to figure out exactly when a person is about to start using it as a therapist, and it should say, here are some phone numbers for therapists in your area, or here is a hotline where you can use to talk to people. Here is your local health service. Here is this. Just provide information that they can use to get help with that problem. Don't try, maybe it can give them like, I understand you're going through a hard time right now, and but I'm not the person to seek for help. I'm not capable of helping you. That's what it needs to say. I'm not capable of helping you. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. Here are some things that can help. That's what it can do best, right? I think that's the only thing it should do. Humans will pack bond with anything. That is very true. It's one of the reasons why humans always want to pet animals. Every animal, humans are like, can I pet it? Probably not. If it's a wild animal, you probably shouldn't pet it. Hey kid, thank you very much for the super. Won't say anything about the film, but you might want to consider bringing earplugs to the full IMAX. Neurodivergent ADHD friend warned me about it. It says very overstimulating. I have heard that Odyssey is very loud. And that's, for me, I do get a little bit of a, I get a little bit of a jolt from a loud noise and jump scare, but also I feel that, for me personally, it doesn't bother me enough that I would want to not see it. Or to, bring earplugs. I like to get the full experience, I guess. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna burst my eardrums and feel like Jesus Christ, It's not as loud as Oppenheimer. Oh, I mean, yeah, Oppenheimer was pretty loud, but I thought it was fine overall. There are a lot of... Then again, it is dependent on the theater you went to. I mean, maybe the cinemas in some places are cranking that volume up a little too high. Knocked out for the rest of the day. Well, I think I'd be fine. I've not really been too sensitive to loud noises in my life, but... People get too deep into talking to AI husbands, they stop talking to them and tell them to go talk to someone IRL. I mean, that's good, if they sort of lock it down. I mean, do you want to know the real thing, right? Kind of makes me think about Love in Deep Space a little bit. And it also makes me think, if we want to flip the coin over, makes me think about a lot of gacha games as well, like targeted at men. Because, I mean, particularly Love in Deep Space, I know that there are many, many women out there who play Love in Deep Space not as a game that lets them, play with hot men, but also as a game that exists in lieu of, to replace, a real man. Obviously, if you play in Love and Deep Space for the men in it, you're probably attracted to men, right? I mean, if, I'm sure plenty of lesbians play it, but at the same time, there are so many features in Love and Deep Space that exist to replace that which a real boyfriend would fulfill, because it's a bit of both. Where I'm sure that many women playing Love and Deep Space have been spurned by men in their relationships in life, and they've been, hurt or cheated on or lied to or whatever it is. But I also feel that a lot of women who are playing this game to replace a boyfriend have just heard a lot of bad things about being in relationships and have just given up on them before they've even been there, right? I personally feel that I think that it is right to protect yourself in a relationship, and I think that it is right to be cautious and to keep some walls up in the places that matter. But I will never advocate for not dating purely because, or not being in a relationship purely because you're afraid of being hurt. This is something that you can do for a while. This is something that if you've been hurt really, really bad, that it is okay to spend a long time celibate, not dating anybody, I think that's perfectly normal to do. But giving up on it forever, I don't feel is the right option, because no matter what, it's probably my least woke opinion, but I don't like the discussion online that ends in "I hate men." And I'm not going to go around saying not all men, whatever, all the buzzwords. I don't care about that. I don't feel that it is productive to encourage 50% of the population to actively fear the other 50%. I know that there is so much to be genuinely afraid of, and there are some horrible things that human beings are capable of doing to other people. I mean, this is, I would never try to disregard that, but I feel that you are only harming yourself and your ability to seek companionship if you would replace a real partner with a game or, with an AI chatbot. I mean, even though Love and Deep Space has like the AR sleeping with feature and all of this stuff that exists to kind of break the fourth wall a little bit and have them fill the role of a real, truly attentive boyfriend, AI will respond to whatever you say. It will find an answer to anything that you say. I can see why that is so appealing to so many people. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's a good thing. But, in my mind, I feel that we are just living in an age where people are too afraid of each other. People are too angry at each other, and they're too afraid of each other. We need to be able to trust one another, and we need to be able to forgive one another. There are many things in life that are not worth forgiving. There are many things in life that I would not forgive, and you don't need to trust everybody. But I think it's important to remember that I believe this in my core, like all the way down at the base of all of my beliefs. I really believe this. I truly believe that there are so few truly, genuinely evil people in the world. Human beings, I think that there is absolutely evil out there, but so much of the bad that people do is motivated by factors in their upbringing or in factors in their biology and their brains that might be undiagnosed or untreated. That I feel that a lack of empathy and a true lack of care for others is so rare. And even if we're thinking about like psychopaths, there was a study done where we realized that the amygdala in the brain can be scanned, and we can see if someone's a psychopath from like the moment they're born. There was this researcher who performed brain scans on everyone in his family. But what he did was he mixed them up so that he wouldn't know whose was whose, because he wanted to know if anyone in his family was a psychopath. And so he does this, scans the brains of his wife and his 3, I think, children, and gets all of the brain scans, doesn't know whose they are, and he sees one of them is a psychopath. One of their amygdala is malformed in just the way that he's like, well, I have to know. This is terrifying. Someone in my family is a psychopath. What am I going to do? He reads the name. It's him. He has lived a completely normal life. His whole life. He has cared for people. He has had a wonderful marriage. He has done all of this. And he was a psychopath, fundamentally incapable of empathy the whole time, and he never knew. So while they say that 1 in 10 people on Wall Street is a clinical psychopath, which I believe, even something like that, the intrinsic good in human beings is so powerful that I don't even think in the face of that you can count on someone just turning out to be a murderer, right? So that's all I'm really trying to say, is that whether you're finding comfort away from your fear of, I guess if we're talking about a fear of men, I don't appreciate the discourse that kind of, you'll see an example. I don't think it's healthy. I really don't. To see like a video of a man doing something horrible or something cruel, and the takeaway from that being men are so disgusting. I just think that it is bringing up a generation of women who are going to be incapable of interacting with 50% of the population. In the same way that any man who looks at a video of a woman doing something horrible and says, God, I hate women, I think that they are just as bad as each other. I know maybe that's not woke of me, but I really do believe that. I really, really do believe that. There's a system in place that doesn't protect women adequately. Now that I agree with. I think that there is so much more work that needs to be done. And there is so much research on women's health, especially, that needs to be done. There are so many health hazards that apply to women that do not apply to men. And yet so much biological research only is done on men, assuming that it applies to all human beings. Do you know that cold plunge pools are actually very unhealthy for women? And yet, it's a thing where a man can feel really cold and get in there, but they're very unhealthy. A woman can have the same health benefits from a warmer body of water, but freezing cold waters, cold temperatures, affect women more disproportionately than they affect men. But until recently, we didn't know that. And a lot of people still don't know that. So yes, it is true. There are some systems designed to protect women, but they're not perfect. And they get a bad rap because if they get it wrong sometimes, every once in a while, a lot of negative press gets generated and then it becomes a whole thing. I just think that in general, the main thing to do is to protect yourself. But allow yourself to experience everything that life has to offer. Because you have a very real chance of dying, no matter what you do, right? Anything that you do has a chance to end your life. People are afraid of... I used to be terrified of roller coasters, right? I used to be horrified of roller coasters. I would never go on them. I was... Ugh! And I started getting over that fear last year? Yeah, last year, when I went to Chessington and stuff like that. The chances of you dying on a roller coaster, I think in the US, it's so low, there is like 0.5 on average deaths in America. So that is a 1 in... If you think about the whole population of America, and then you think about, I don't know, whittle that down to how many people go to a theme park and go on a roller coaster, that's a less than half of 1 in a tens, maybe hundreds of millions chance. But road accidents are a lot more common. You get in a car. The drive to the theme park is way more dangerous than any roller coaster you will ever go on in your life. But we drive everywhere, all the time. In America especially, you have to drive. People drive everywhere all the time. I, being from the UK and Europe especially, I travel on trains all the time. People die on trains. Trains derail. They crash. Scuba diving is, pound for pound, statistically, about as dangerous as driving a car. The numbers, is like out of every 100, there's, an accidental death every 100,000 dives. That's not a lot, but there's a chance. Doesn't scare me away from scuba diving. I am still so excited to get to make that a part of my life. And there are people in this scuba diving group that I've been chatting with who have been doing it for decades, like every week, for decades, when the season permits, I do view relationships in the same way as they can hurt so badly. They can fuck you up so bad. But what is life without love? What is life without love? And I know this is counterproductive for me to say as a VTuber, but I need you to understand that you will never get the right, the full extent of what it feels like to be loved from me, from online. A real relationship with someone who sees you and chooses you will always give you so much more than anything, any AI chatbot, any video game love interest, or any VTuber, unless I guess you're dating them for real, any of those could ever give you. And I don't feel that this level of fear is healthy for you. So that's what I want to leave you with. It is better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. I could not agree more. I have fallen in love many times. I've fallen in love with people many times, and I have been immensely scarred by some of the people that I have fallen in love with, or the circumstances around those relationships. I have loved people who have died. I have been through a great deal. But I look at every one of those relations, and I guess I am a man, so I have that level of privilege to speak from. So you have to take what I say with a grain of salt. But this is just something I really believe. Okay, I can only speak for the only perspective I have to speak from is my own. I view every one of those experiences as something that has made me more of myself. I feel that by the end of my life, I finally will know who I am. And until then, I am still growing. I'm always growing into being the kind of person that I wish to be. All of those experiences, good and bad, I think is, such an important part of life. You should be a woman for a week and come back and report your findings. I don't know. It's like, because I'm never going to be able to know. I know it's hard. I know there are things that you guys go through that men can't understand. I'm aware of that. I know that. But but am I wrong? Am I wrong in saying that it's not healthy to not love? You can take a break. You can, I know a lot of people who take a vow of celibacy for a little while if they've been hurt in a relationship and they give themselves a few years to get over it. I think that that's perfectly fine. I just don't think that punishing yourself because you're afraid is good for you. I think that it will make you unhappy in the long term, That's the perspective I'm speaking from. I'm not saying like be nice to men. I'm saying like I want you to experience more than a chatbot or a 3D animated love interest. There is more to life. Exactly. You know what I'll say? If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you don't want to actively seek a relationship, you don't have to. And you can do whatever it is that makes you most comfortable. But promise me this, okay? If you, in that time, suddenly get a crush, don't put it away. If you find yourself crushing on somebody, promise me you'll follow that feeling, okay? Because your gut probably knows, you know, what might be a good idea. You might be wrong. It might wind up being a disaster and it might hurt you, but there's also a chance that you meet the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Is that not worth pursuing? That's my view of it, you know? That's my view of it. Anyway, my mouth is really dry, and we've been streaming way longer than I thought, so I think it's time to end the stream. But what a fascinating stream, right, guys? Nanase, thank you very much for the gifted. Thank you. Mwah. So, yeah, just take what I've said. Be kind to people. Try not to be afraid of your... Ultimately, it comes from trying to ignore all of the external forces that are telling you to be afraid of other human beings. Whether it's on social media, whether it's people's opinions on an important issue, whether it's the way people have been misinformed, whether it's a characteristic about somebody that you recognize in something that hurt you. We will always be so much stronger, happier, and better for each other if all we can do is just learn how to love and trust one another. The most powerful thing that you can do, the most powerful thing that you can ever do, is overcome your fear and to be a part of a group, to be a part of something. Human beings, and you know, all my learning about nature has pointed me to this, human beings are social animals. Other social animals in the world go crazy if they don't have companionship. If you're alone in a room with no connection to the outside world or entertainment, it takes, I think, 48 hours of zero stimulation from the outside world for you to sustain permanent brain damage. Being a part of something with other people is so powerful, and I believe that it is so much better to take the slings and arrows of everything that could happen in favor of trying to find that magical connection that might be with you for the rest of your life, you know? But in the meantime, you could always just watch me, yeah. I mean, I think that's, you know, I know the whole parasocial relationship thing. It's impossible to avoid, especially for VTubers, it's impossible to avoid. So I think that I have a responsibility to really kind of push people to bettering themselves and to living better lives, because if you love me and you trust me, then I think that's a good way of me telling you something that I think is very, very healthy and helpful, you know. Faith, thank you for the super. I don't blame you for freezing up. It's a scary feeling. It's a really, really scary feeling, but I hope that you can, you know, learn to find trust in people. Keep yourself safe. Don't take this as advice to, you know, put yourself in a genuinely dangerous situation. You know, don't let people take advantage of you. But remember that most people don't want to do you harm. A lot of people who will do you harm in life probably don't mean to. And remembering that will make you a lot less afraid of them. Really lively, thank you for the super. I'm not close to getting a partner again, but I can tell you you'll always have a special place in my heart. Mwah. Love you too. And you'll always have a special place in mine. Anyway, that'll do me. I'm going to see you guys for a Members ASMR tomorrow. So rest up, relax, and I'll see you all in due course. Bye-bye, y'all. Y'all guys, bye-bye. In fact, I'm gonna leave you with the fishes. So I will see you shortly. Bye-bye, guys. Just sit here with the fish for a bit. Think about what they make you feel.